Morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexiot's here. Monday morning, we lost the Orlando Magic once again. So they're on a 3-game win streak, and we are spiraling. But I have to tell everybody before I start the stream right now, I really do see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I feel good about things that happen this game much more than I feel good about the things that happened on Friday night. Now, we've lost so many games this year that we had no business losing, whether it's a close game against Atlanta, whether it's whatever game, the ingredients are there to actually win the game. It's just that we don't have guys performing to the level to get us that win. And last night was very much like that. You know what? We are really bad at shooting. It's horrible how bad we're at shooting. And Nick Nurse said this after the game. He said there's a lot of weird things going on with our team with our shooting right now. Fred being off is a little like hurting us. OG has a hurt hand right now. Like he said, his shooting hand is actually injured at this point. And that's part of the reason why OG's not shooting as well from the outside right now. There's a lot, it's a perfect storm of a lot of different things going wrong in the shooting department with our guys in some ways. Now, that's no excuse. Our shooting, our 3-point shooting in particular, is absolutely horrendous. And if we had had that last night, we might have won the game last night. In fact, Nick says that the separation of where they got the separation last night was when they got these little barrages of like 2 or 3 threes in a row in the second half. And Franz Wagner had a barrage of those. And then later on, Paulo had a barrage of those. But, we did a really good job in a lot of ways in the game last night. And I was really happy with some things that we saw because there's signs that we can get out of this and we can start doing things correctly down the road in this season right now. The beginning of the game, they started fantastic. They did start Koloko, which I was, but you know what? He smartened up by the end of the game in some ways about Koloko versus Khem. And we saw a huge chunk of the game played by Khem. Whatever we said about minutes restrictions for Khem, that's just not true. The man played last night 18 minutes. So I think he can play. I think he can play out there, and he played very effective. Did y'all see what I'm talking about? When he's out there, nobody gets to the basket easy. That he is so good at rotating and coming back, even if he comes out to guard the center or person that he's guarding, he will flip back and run back into the lane so quickly and seal it out right away. And if you were going to come in the lane and try and score, you are getting hit by him. So Khem really came in and came through for what I've been saying as far as he's a defensive seal, and he gives us a whole other feel on the court when he is out there playing. In fact, he got subbed in 4 minutes into the game. And it was very much, it really like you saw how defensive that first quarter was and how it was such a grind. It was very much like 90s Eastern Conference NBA basketball. It was like every point was very earned. It was such a battle. It was so cutthroat back and forth. It was so hard for them to score. It's so hard for us to score. And the end of the first quarter, the score was only 19-18. And that's the fewest amount of points the Raptors have allowed in the first quarter of the season. That's fantastic. That is a win. That is huge. And we won the first quarter by 1 point. That is huge. Now, if we could, our defense looked great last night. That's why I'm going to say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Because my biggest problem is if they're not showing any kind of sound defense, then we're in big trouble. Well, they showed it last night. And that's why I feel a little bit better today in some ways. I know we're hitting really a rock bottom right now in this particular season right now. And it sucks. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people are upset. Let's check in with the comments and we'll go over my 3 stars for the game. We'll talk about the very close, narrow win of the Raptors 905 over the Maine Celtics yesterday. Well, that's a bright spot. And we can talk about this. It was very fun to hear at the end of that game, the Maine Celtics are devastated by this loss. When you hear the words Celtics devastated by loss, that's always magic to my ears. And but not magic on the court playing them in Orlando. But yeah, there's a couple bright spots about yesterday, even though it seems real dark right now. And we'll focus on those, and we'll talk about where we're going from here and things that we can probably expect and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Monique is here first. Let's see what she's saying. Good morning, everyone. And Masai and Bobby Webster will step in with a team meeting with them and in it soon enough. Real pep talk needed. Even the Raptors tonight crew is disappointed. Go Raptors. Well, yeah, of course they're disappointed. I mean, on paper, this sounds so bad. The way this looks, it looks so bad too. But once again, we're really not getting lucky breaks on when we're getting teams and during the season. We're not getting teams when they're on their lows themselves and they're feeling really shitty. Like the Brooklyn Nets, they've had really bad times during the season, and we've just happened to hit the beats where they're actually on it and they're playing well and they beat us all three times. But the beginning of the season, we were their only win for a while. And there's also other teams we've given good feelings to. Philadelphia was really struggling at the beginning of the season, and we helped them get out of the mud. This is what we're doing this year. We're helping teams that are struggling get out of the mud. And we just helped Orlando in a major way. And I'm going to tell you right now, Orlando's way better than their record right now. That record is not apropos to who they are. And if they get their shit more figured out, they're going to be in the playoffs. They are nasty. In fact, this whole lineup with Bol and Mo Bamba involved in it, and then you add in Paulo Banchero, and then you got Franz Wagner and stuff like that. This team is nasty, and they are even missing some key pieces that are really going to add to it too. I hate Jonathan Isaac and his repulsive politics, but he is going to help them when he comes back in the near future. You got guys like Jalen Suggs, who's sitting out. There's a couple more players that are on this team that are going to make them even better. And they're scary. They're very scary. They're one of the few teams in the league that can outlength us in rebounding. And that was a huge key to why they beat us both these games, is that Bol and Mo Bamba can get to the ball better than Chris Boucher. That's the crazy thing, that these guys really limited our offensive rebounding once again. They boxed out real well, and they won the rebounding battle last night. That's a huge battle for us to win against them. We win the rebounding battle, we beat the Magic. Well, they made sure to win the rebounding battle. In fact, there were quite a few battles they beat us in last night that I didn't like. But once again, I'm really happy with the defensive effort overall in this game, that they played really tough defense the whole entire game. They looked really good. They looked engaged. They looked active. They looked like they were really trying. They looked like they really gave a shit. And all that stuff, it just didn't add up to a win, mostly because their offense was so ineffective. Now, we shot so bad last night. I mean, at the end, we ended up shooting 40%, but that really isn't how well we shot. We shot way worse than that. And they shot like the difference was in the beginning of the game, both teams shot like 25%. And then they really rose up their field goal percentage by the end of the game to 47% by the end of the game. And we shot 40%. And, they make 6 more field goals than us. That all adds up to the 12-point deficit. And then look at this. This is a huge stat. This is the one where they beat us really bad, was the 3-point made. 14 3-pointers made for their team at 45% 3-point shooting. That's fantastic 3-point shooting as a team. And meanwhile, we're shooting 24% from 3, and we only make 6 3-pointers. That is 8 more 3-pointers than us. And that is 24 points to overcome right there. Now you're like thinking, well, we only lost by 12. How could we be down by 24 on threes? Well, we made it up at the free throw line. They were actually giving us a lot of free throws. This is what Fred was doing last night. He was not making a shot, and he wasn't even really trying to shoot his three as much. He was being very aggressive, attacking the paint and drawing fouls and getting on the line. Fred himself had he got most of his points at the free throw line, half of his points, 10 of 12 from the free throw line. And he was just manufacturing stuff that way because his shot, he didn't want to rely on his shot going in. He went and he took the punishment and went to the line to make the extra points. But 33 of 38 at the free throw line, we shot good at the free throw line. That wasn't really the difference. And we got to the free throw line a lot. And this may make you think, oh, the referees were helping us last night, but they were not. The refs were awful last night. This was really bad hit job last night. Like, they did do a real hit job on us because every single time, listen, all right, think about this. Our team is so bad at field goal percentage right now that if we can string together a couple field goals made and a couple trips down the court, that's huge. That's a momentum builder. And we have such a hard time building any momentum on offense right now. Well, the referees can really squash us out and put us out like a fire whenever they want to when it's like this. And they were doing that last night. They very much were. There were a couple of calls and plays that, they absolutely stop our momentum. And it's really like calling the whistle and then holding things up for a second when we're really getting going. One of the best examples of it, and this is a thing I wish they would change in the NBA rules, is when a team gets a 24-second shot clock violation, they should allow the other team to go straight into their offense and go right down the court. Meanwhile, they blow the whistle and they let everybody set up and they make us go side out. And that we were ready to run and go into a fast break after that 24-second shot clock violation in the second half. But they very much stopped it, stymied it, said, nope, you guys aren't running here. That is where we can make momentum and get easy points. But if they put the wall up or they just say, no, you don't get to go, it's messed up. Now, they did not favor us in any kind of way. There were fucked up calls all kinds of ways. We can talk about the challenges. Both ways, we lost 2 challenges in a row, like within 30 seconds of the game. Kevin Cutler was an asshole once again last night, and he had some crazy ass call in which Ben Taylor and him disagreed, but then he overruled Ben Taylor, the head ref, and was staunch about it. He knew he was wrong, and it fucked us over then. There were quite a few calls where the referees really hurt us. And in particular, it was them putting out the fire when we would start a blaze of momentum for our offense. They would just come over with a blanket and start beating it out and putting it out before it could get going. And that was a huge, huge detriment to our offense last night, other than we just couldn't hit shots. Is that, when we did get things going good, the referees controlled the pace of the game and controlled how much we could get up and down the court, and it ruined our chances. It's so deflating when Fred makes a shot at the end of the shot clock and they say, no, it doesn't count, and they have to check it. Like, that in itself is uncertain in the game, just adds more to uncertainty. And then finally they reward us with the points later. They should fucking count the basket, give us the points right then. And if it didn't count in time, then go back and take the points away. Because in some ways, that's kind of like, there was all kinds of detrimental kind of bullshit with the refs. All 3 of them I had a problem with in different ways. The rookie ref was an idiot at times. He made a couple bad calls. In fact, that one play where Fred stripped the ball of the player in the lane, he went to the rookie ref and he said, this is how it is. I do this and I do these clean and I don't get called fouls for this. You need to learn this, rookie. And he got in his face after that call, Huang, when it was a strip where Fred, the guy turned, the offensive player for the Magic turned, and Fred hit the ball out of his hands, and he called a foul on him. He doesn't realize that he's not fouling when he does that. And he let the rookie know. And then meanwhile, Kevin Cutler is a big bully. He's a fucking asshole. Oh my gosh. He has a bad attitude. And you can tell he's just a jerk. And then meanwhile, Ben Taylor is actually not a good ref for us. He statistically is over the history of the Raptors, but in the 3 games I've seen him ref us this year, he is doing ref hit jobs to us on the down low with, like, he mixes in like what he makes it look like it's fair calls both ways, but he really is doing shady shit on the down low and hindering us. He was doing that last night. So the refs were really bad. In fact, this may have been one of the worst ref hit jobs we've seen last night. That whole thing with Gary Trent and the scratch on his face was a huge momentum killer once again. Like, there's momentum killers you can point at in that game. We were starting to get going, and Gary got scratched when he fell out of bounds. And Ben Taylor was adamant, you have to leave. He subbed him out. Like, he said, you got to go out. And that really hurt us because Gary was the linchpin of our comeback and our getting going. So that was a huge problem last night. There are a couple of big things that really hurt us. Obviously, the 3-point shooting of our team was really bad, and that's number 1. Second is probably the length and the makeup of the Magic team really hurt us last night, like the length of how long those guys are, and then the refs. Those are like the key recipe for the 3 reasons why we lost last night. Now, Freddie was really good in the interview afterwards. He said, it's my fault. I take this on my responsibility. I need to play better. I know that if I had played just a little bit better last night, we probably would have won this game. And he may be exactly right. Because he missed a lot of threes, and if he just makes a couple more of those threes, it's like Nick Nurse said, we make a couple more of our threes. This game's totally different. We make our share of threes instead of just 6 threes out of 25 attempts. We are more in this game, and we have a better chance. Now, my 3 stars for the game for the Raptors main roster game last night, Gary Trent is the number 1 star by far. He was the only guy who was capable on offense throughout the whole game. 24 points, 8 of 18, 3 of 8 from three-point range. I mean, him getting half of our three-pointers in itself is just enough for me to say, you're the player, you're our number 1 star. Because, the threes were so hard to get, and he was the only one contributing with that. And, it was nice to see him come. He didn't start well. He had to start because OG wasn't playing, and he didn't start well. He plays way better coming off the bench later into the game. And then instead of starting right at the beginning of the game, because he missed a whole bunch of shots at the beginning of the game when he first started. And so I still like him not starting. I think he should be coming off the bench because he just gets going better. But he still ended up shooting pretty good by the end of the game. It's not 50%, but I'll take it. In a game like last night where everybody's shooting horrible, Gary was the one shining light. And I won't give a star to any of the other starters last night. Scotty had a really dreadful game last night. Fred VanVleet was good, but he wasn't good enough. And he would even tell you that. And Pascal was, Pascal got, this is another way they ref Hitjob us last night. They ref Hitjob us 2 ways last night. They took 2 players out of the game in 2 different halves. And Pascal getting 4 fouls in the first half really fucked up his game. Pascal couldn't be on the court. Well, it was good for the minutes restriction. So the minutes police were like, okay, Pascal's not playing too many minutes. Well, because he's got 4 fouls in the first half. And he's got to sit. And those fouls were so shady. They were so shady, so fucked up, and a part of the ref hit job. Pascal's foul trouble last night. And, even though he got 19 points, 6 of 16, he did get 6 rebounds, 7 assists, a block, and a steal, but he did have 4 turnovers, and he missed all 4 of his 3-point attempts. That's another thing we got to realize is we're so used to Pascal hitting threes for us this season. Well, last year, there were many games where he didn't hit any threes. That just wasn't a part of his game. But in some ways, it has to be part of his game at this point, that we need you to make threes every game now, Pascal. You cannot disappear in that aspect of your game, that we need that scoring and those 3 points, especially when Fred and OG aren't hitting it right. And, Gary's our only guy. We need you to step up. So you can't disappear at the 3-point line. You very much have to make them. And there were a couple threes late in the game last night that you're wide open that you missed, that we absolutely needed you to nail those, Pascal. So I can't put you in my top 3 stars. I can't put Fred in there, and I can't put Scotty in there. Scotty's game was really weird why he didn't play well. I can talk about it. He got off to a great start. In fact, what did I say yesterday? Boom. I was like, man, these guys must be listening to me. First play off the game. What did he do? He dribbled right down in the lane, and he made a easy, high percentage shot right down near the basket, just like I was talking about yesterday, Bill Cartwright and the Chicago Bulls. Scotty went and broke the seal on the game the correct way. It was perfect. He dribbled, got down there, and he made a really easy shot to start the game off. And then, boom, he hit a 3 not that long after that. Now, he was he really disappeared in the middle of the game. And then for the rest of the game, he had a really hard time last night. He was missing a lot. He wasn't playing bad defense, though. That's the one thing I will say about Scotty. His stat line looks so bad, but he played really good last night on the defensive end. In fact, he was keeping things up really well, rotating, really meeting guys, really bugging people. He was doing the Mr. 94 feet. The effort on the defensive end for Scotty was fantastic. In fact, I can't get mad at him for any of that. It's just that the offensive stuff just didn't happen. And in some ways, this game last night, I can't blame him. This is going to be part of the ups and downs of being a second-year player. And I can't get mad at him too much. But, the one area I wish he could have done better, if he wasn't going to hit his shot, stuff that stat sheet, Scotty Barnes. Go get the rebounds. Go get some more assists. Get some steals. Get some blocks. Because you only ended up with 2 rebounds and a steal and 11 points in 41 minutes last night. I love that you made all your free throws, but really, dude, you made 2 of your field goals in the first 5 minutes of the game and then 1 field goal for the rest of the game after that. That is all you scored last night. And you were the worst plus minus on our team, a minus 16. So in some ways, I'm really proud of Scotty for showing such good mettle and effort on the defensive end, but his offense was not there last night at all, and it's too bad. So my 3 stars are Gary Trent's number 1 star. My second star is Chris Boucher. He was really showing some good energy and fight out there in a game where he was kind of overmatched. When you got Bol and Mo Bamba next to you and you're trying to go up for the same rebound, you're going to have a hard time getting it. But I give a lot of credit to Chris. He got 3 offensive rebounds in the whole battle, and that's better than anybody else on our team. Normally, we have some good offensive rebounds, but Chris at least got 3. He had 2 block shots, too, and they were huge. Like, there were plays where they had us beat, and they were about to score, and Chris would come out of nowhere, and he blocked the shot to stop them. And he played really good defense once again. Like, a lot of these guys played such good defense last night. I could say the Raptors played good defense. But Chris had 12 points off the bench, 3 of 8 for shooting, 6 of 6 at the free throw line, which I really like. The 3 offensive rebounds and five altogether, 2 blocks. That's fantastic. I give him the second star in the game, Chris Boucher. And my third star is Khem Birch. He just has to be, because we just saw a totally different look out there. And he's the only one who shot over 50% on the Raptors team, other than Koloko making a 1-for-1 in his 1 basket that he got set up for at the very beginning of the game. Birch was 4 of 5 with 9 points. He had a block, a rebound, and 1 turnover. Not a whole lot of stuffing, but Khem Birch did have a huge impact on the defensive end with sealing things out and making us look like we could guard them and keep them out of the paint and really helping us. Our defense was so good last night. In fact, that first half score was so weird. It was so low. It wasn't really like any game we played so far this year or how grinded out it was. It felt really like a playoff intensity to a degree, just because of how much energy was being put out on the court. There was a lot about that I really liked. In fact, I liked watching them be so good on defense, just sealing them out. How many times did the Magic have almost a shot clock violation or a shot clock violation last night? Very, very often. But there were stupid things that bailed them out on some of them. Like, there was 1 foul that was right at the end of a shot clock where was going to run out, and the refs bailed them out and gave them free throws right at the end of it with a really stupid ass, like, fucked up bullshit foul that actually wasn't even really there. They trumped it up and helped them and put them on the line after a very good defensive stand during a 24-second shot clock. But that 24-second clock going off so much last night. And in fact, Delano, when he came in, there was one time when he was trapping so tough that they didn't even get the ball across the 3-point line barely, and the shot clock ran out. That was fantastic. There was a really good effort all around by the Raptors on the defensive end. So I give them half a win just for doing that and showing that they can do that again, because that is the building block that will get us back up and going in the right direction again. Is the defense comes first. And the fact that they were showing it yesterday and they didn't win because of their offense makes me very happy, because this means the offense is going to come and the defense has shown that it can still be very capable and do a very good job. It's just so hard to play a game with so much defensive effort and you're still losing. You're still having a hard time. It can be very deflating and it can be very discouraging and hard to play in those kind of games because you can't get anything good going on the offensive end. And it sucks. All right, Leslie Hart's here. Good morning, everyone. We have so much to talk about today. I've been super busy lately, but I miss our Raptors chats. Well, Leslie, I'm glad you're here with us this morning on Monday. Still a little dreary, a little snowy outside. And yeah, there is a lot to talk about today. The game, it pisses me off, and it's like, but also at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, I can see the signs of life. I can see good things maybe starting to come towards us. It's just that these dudes really got to give a shit, and they got to really try. And maybe there are some murmurs that Nick Nurse's job is in trouble if he continues to lose to a lot of really games that he shouldn't be losing. That's not a good sign. And he could be in jeopardy, and he's got to worry about that. And the guy's got to worry about coach having his job. I mean, I feel like he's pretty safe. for some reason, I just feel like he has more leash than the normal coach just because of his track record. And we know that he's innovative enough to fix things. And that Masai has picked him, and he's a great fit. But I know there's a lot of people calling for his head, and that there is a real pressure in the NBA that when you don't perform to the standard that you're expected to, that the coach usually does get in trouble for that. But I really hope that they don't do anything like that. I don't think Masai's stupid enough to fire Nick Nurse. I don't think he is, and that he understands that things are going to get worked out. Tom Dukes here. Good morning. NBA sure is an entertaining product. We have so much emotional investment as fans, and I just want to see how our organization gets us out of this. Come on, Raptors. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to be all right. And like, you know what? I really do feel like we are lucky and we're in a good place. It's just that we're not performing or having lucky breaks. We're having a lot of shitty breaks, a little bit of a ref hit job, and then just really poor percentage of our shooting right now. So maybe hopefully it'll balance out and we'll have a way better second half of the season field goal percentage wise, where we're making like a whole bunch of shots that we were missing in the first half of the season. They're going in instead of rimming out or falling out like they have this part of the season. Let's see. Monique's also saying we need to be kings tomorrow. No, it's no ifs, ands, or buts. Well, on Wednesday, because we got tomorrow's trivia, guys. We're gonna do trivia on this channel tomorrow. So come on in 9:30 a.m. Play some Raptors freak trivia with me tomorrow morning. Yeah, another game. So be ready. We are home better at home. Pascal Gary can't do it alone. I get it. We are focused. We need to start being focused. Go Raptors always. Yeah, we are way better on at home than on the road. And this is actually very true about the Magic also. That, you know, young teams and young players like Scotty Barnes and Franz Wagner, they just play better at home because the home crowd's behind them and different things. And this is really what's showing with our team this year, the dichotomy between our road record and our and our home record is very much the opposite. Like one's 10-3 and the other's 3-11 now. And that's crazy. That is so crazy that it's so opposite. And like, I really wish we'd still had our road warrior mentality that we built from the Tampa year, but we lost it this year. We had it last year, but this year I don't feel as good at going on the road against teams in their own building as I do last year. I always thought that we had a good shot on the road, but right now we're struggling so bad in road games, and I don't understand it completely. I really, really don't. But obviously at home, we need to defend the North. And this rest of this month, we have a lot of top Western Conference opponents coming here to play us at home. And these will be good tests and good opportunities to get some good vibes and good things going. Because, you know, we start beating teams like Memphis and Phoenix and the Clippers and Sacramento here this month. It'll be way better, and we'll forget about 2 losses to Orlando. This may be the bottom low of the season. And like I said, we caught Orlando when they were starting to surge and figure some stuff out. We helped them figure some stuff out. And they have a couple players that are like doing stuff that I wish our players would do. Like in the games, both games on Friday and this game last night, Paulo stepped up like a superstar in the games and really did big shots and hit big, like hard shots. Like that corner shot that he hit last night was really hard to make. And we played really good defense on him. But that was a superstar kind of shot, a winning play kind of shot. And I hate seeing that in the young Magic players when I want to see it in our young Raptor players. When, you know, Franz and Paulo are actually taking over and making sure that their team wins a game in the fourth quarter. That I hate that, because that should be Pascal and Gary or Fred taking over and winning the game in the fourth quarter instead of those guys, because those guys are too young. They shouldn't be doing it so soon. Why is Paolo, I guess, the number 1 pick in the draft? He's able to go do that already, but we can't get Scotty to do something like that, or we can't get, it may not be fair to expect Scotty, but Pascal and Fred, they should definitely be trying to do that. And why and where were they? That's what they disappear at the end of the game, and they can't do enough. We were too far behind, too little, too late once again. And it sucks. I hate it. Let's see. Tom's saying Adrian Griffin will be happy with his boys' game winner. What a stud. Okay, so AJ hit another game winner. That's his second one because he hit the one against us too. So good for him. I'm sure that's a bright spot in his life, at least. Is the way his son's playing on the Hawks. And that may be weird because like that may mean that the stuff with Trey Young going on, who knows? Maybe AJ Griffin is more a part of like being a part of their superstar for the future. Who knows? PM's here. Good to see PM. I don't love the Raptors for their win-loss percentage. I love them because they make me smile more times than not. Living in a world that's coming apart at the seams, I'll take it. Go Raps. This is a great attitude, PM. And it really is. You got to get down to the basics of what it is. Some of us care too much about winning in some ways, but maybe we should because that's the Masai Ujiri way and the way the Raptors just organization works. But in some ways, it's also kind of like, guys, we have an NBA team in Toronto. And that's special in itself. Like they really did want us. A lot of people did not want us to have a team here. And we have one. Even those haters don't want it. And it's a good team. It's a quality franchise. It's doing a lot of good things. And, there's a lot of things we can point to have gratitude and gratefulness about the Raptors, that we get to watch games. There's no pandemic. There's no shutdown. That, we can go to games, that we're allowed to go to games. So the games are even happening. The fact that we have like good people in our organization that are really going to help us win over the long term and win more championships. These are all things to have gratitude about. And then win or lose, sometimes just the joy of being able to watch your favorite team play is great and should be acknowledged and felt. And I think that's what PM's saying here today. That, listen, even if we lost last night, there were moments last night where we smiled real big because we saw something crazy. Like Chris Boucher hitting a flying burrito on Mo Bamba and taking him out of the game all of a sudden, Like, what was that? Like, what was that move? Like, it literally looked like Tito Santana with his old finishing move in WWF in like the 80s was a flying forearm. And that looked like what Chris did to him. He's talking about Shawn Michaels and Generation X lately. And all of a sudden, boom, he's throwing finishers on the court in the middle of the game. And he did. He took out Mo Bamba for a good 10 minutes. He knocked him with that forearm, and it wasn't intentional. It was just incidental contact because that's why there was no call on it. And I really do like that they called Markelle Fultz for that flagrant foul when he hit Fred in the face. Fred kept getting hit in the head last night. And, the refs were, I don't know. Last night was such a weird game with the referees. They were fucked up. They were just fucked up. Let's just put it that way. There were bright spots here and there, like that Markelle Fultz flagrant, but for the most part, they were really fucked up the way they called the game because they were alternating between like not calling anything and letting guys just be brutal to each other and then being real touchy. And the person they were being real touchy with was Pascal, and that was fucked up, honestly. Because look at what we're going through right now, and maybe this is part of their strategy when Kevin Cutler's out there because he's taken main players on our team out of the game early, like Fred the last time when he ejected him after just early into the third quarter. Well, we got no OG for the game last night already, and they were going to take Fred. They're going to take Pascal out with foul trouble last night, and then boom, they literally took Gary out when we were mounting a comeback because of a cut on his face. I don't understand why Scott McCullough just didn't get that sticky stuff and just wipe it down his face. He didn't need the bandage. Just put that stuff that'll stop the blood from coming out. Because that's why they kept taking him out, is because he was bleeding out the side of his head. And, it was a little bitty scratch, but also, they have to do it for the protocols. But I still don't fucking like that they stopped things and made Gary leave the game. Really? Why didn't they give him a chance? Like they should. I don't know if Scott McCullough fucked up maybe because he should have closed it the first time he came over. Think about that next time, Scott McCullough, trainer for the Raptors or like medical guy. When they come to the side and they're bleeding a little bit, make sure that blood stops because I think you learned a lesson last night because he had a chance to come over in the officials' timeout and you kind of just wiped them off and then send them back out there. Well, it's going to continue to bleed. So you needed to cover it up then, and it may not have even needed a bandage. You could have maybe just put that stuff that kind of just coagulates things over it, like just wipe that little clear stuff, and it may have sealed it enough that it wouldn't bleed out anymore, and then he'd have to come out again. So in some ways, that's Scott McCullough's fault, that you need to make sure that they're patched up before you put that ship out to sail again. You got to patch all the holes, and yeah, him having to come out the second time is really a fuck up by our trainer in a way. So I don't like that. I don't like that. Seymour's here. Good to see Seymour Pape. My boy from Shreveport calling them the Craptors is looking ugly. Ooh, man, I don't like that. I don't like that. When these people start pulling that C on our front of our team's name, I don't like that. I get real pissed off. In fact, that particular like name calling of the Raptors gets me to unfollow people. Gets me to be like, yeah, I don't fucking. They don't have any like respect for our team. They're gonna say that, call us that. That's fine. People can say that to a degree right now, and it's accurate because it really is kind of true. And I hate that he can say that to you and disrespect our team like that. But honestly, he's not wrong in some ways. We have been playing very crappy, but I hate that particular nickname myself. A Guardian Transit saying, let's draft tall, lengthy guys that can shoot, teach them D instead of the other way around. I don't know if that you can do that though, Guardian. It's like either dog is in you or it isn't. And that's the big difference in a lot of players in this league. Like Donovan Mitchell may be a fantastic offensive player, and maybe they want him to learn how to play better defense. But if he doesn't have dog on that end of the court, he's not going to be a good defender. And that's the thing is I don't know, man. I don't know. And what you're saying, how many players are like this out there? Like seriously, how many guys are there in the league? Like Mo Bamba is very special in some ways. And so is Bobo. That both those guys shoot threes pretty good for their height. It's crazy. Like there are things about this Magic team that are so dangerous. In the years to come, this team is going to be hard to reckon with for different reasons. But I think that these players that you're talking about, they don't just grow on trees. It may be so hard to get them because the one thing, if I've learned anything from this 6-9 vision project that we've been doing in Toronto the last 4 or 5 years, is that 6-9 vision means you're not going to have good shooters. Is that if you really value like all around versatile big stud athletes, they're not usually guys that are like really in tune with their shot and really dead eyes that are absolutely known for that. If you get that crossover in the same person, that's fantastic, but they are so freaking rare. These are such rare players. And instead, you got to get raw athletic players like Scotty and OG and mold them into their offense and teach them how to shoot correctly and hope that they practice and they get good enough that they can become dead eyes. Because they don't come in that way usually, like where they're just dead eyes. Like some players are just dead eyes in college, but they're usually shorter. They're usually littler guys. There's not usually the big guys. It's kind of like a big guy, it has a lot of athleticism. They can coast on their talent, and maybe they don't work as hard on the shooting stuff because they score all other ways. So I don't know, man. Like there's these kind of players are not very common. Let's just put it that way. And to have them in a 6-9 vision or enough of them around to do that kind of strategy, it's just not realistic yet. Maybe the evolution of the game and the players that come up more and more will be in that kind of form, and then maybe they'll be more like that. Like Victor Wemby is such a weird unicorn in some ways, but Bol is kind of the closest thing to him in this league right now. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Naco the Nacho's here. Good morning, my good friend Naco the Nacho. I like them both. I think we have the option of playing Fred or Gary, and I'd rather pay Gary. Fred, Gary, and Pascal were our best players. So you think it was Fred, Gary, and Pascal. I think it was Gary, Chris, and Khem. And it's really like I don't know if I should blame Pascal for what happened to him last night in some ways. But in some ways also he did get back out there and he did not exert himself in the game. And in some ways he should have been better because he had been rested, because he didn't get to play a big chunk of the game. He should have been really energized and ready and out there trying to just mess them up. But also part of it is that the Magic have really big guys and they're really focusing on him and making it really hard on him. You're saying paying them? You want to pay both of them next year? I don't know if I want to keep. There's something's got to give. Something's got to give in this department with the Raptors. And I'm not going to speculate too far ahead about our offseason and contract extensions and who may be signing back with us. Because also, it could be Gary is going to be just trade bait. And like he may be in a trade this year already anyway. Monique saying AJ Griffin's shot reminded me against us, didn't it, Tom? I didn't see the clip, but it probably is very similar in some ways. Seymour Pape saying we ain't even making play in at this point, but I still love the Raps win or lose, die hard. Well, right now, the way we look right now, but we can change this. And I think we will. I really do think we will. I saw the light last night. And if these guys play that kind of effort, we can really play a really good defense still. And the offense will come. The referees just really put a cap on it last night. And Tom sees the AJ Griffin shot being similar to the one against us. Fiercey's here. Good to see Fiercey Salsera. Good morning, fam. Last few games haven't been good for my mental health. Yeah, join the club. Oh my gosh, same here. But all jokes aside, I strongly feel the offense was our biggest problem. Could not hit shots and kept missing the threes. Really bad, Fiercey, like unbelievably bad. In fact, one of the worst 3-point shooting performances by the Raptors, and they've had pretty bad ones recently, but this one was particularly bad. Part of it was when we made the threes. The threes were really spread out and then very barren near the end of the game. We just couldn't buy any of them when we were trying to close that get deficit. The deficit was very workable. It was 7 points a lot of the time. 7 points, 9 points. In a normal offensive game where it's very up and down and high scoring, that wouldn't be a big deal. We could make that up really quick. But in a grinded out defensive battle where every point was earned and really hard to make, 7 points is a big deficit. It sounds crazy, but when you play that style, that's how it is. And we were definitely playing a different kind of style of basketball last night because we lowered field goal attempts and we had like way more of a defensive kind of like emphasis last night. And in some ways, that's part of why our offense struggled too, is that some people are saying today that, well, how are we supposed to be able to shoot or have any energy on the offensive end when we're exerting so much energy on the defensive end just to stop them? They don't have any gas to do anything on the offensive end. And that is something to kind of like maybe look at. I wasn't too mad at Nick Nurse with his rotations last night because he honestly did figure out Khem Birch that is really good for him last night. He brought him in and he was a huge factor, Khem, in a lot of different ways. And then his backup became Thad Young. And Koloko didn't play very much. And in fact, Khem Birch started the second half. And that is another symbol of things. We won the third. We won the first. We lost the second, and we lost the fourth. And the deficits in the second and the fourth were bigger than our margins of beating them by 1 point in the first and the third. Koloko, he had that really easy like dunk and he made it. I was so happy to see that because that was a tough shot. And then he did get a couple blocks, 2 points, 7 minutes, 1 for 1. He could have played more and I wouldn't have been upset. It's just that there's key times I don't want him playing. And I think that maybe he got benched for too long in the second half. But the rest of them, oh my gosh. I mean, all right, I already kind of talked about the starting five, Pascal, Scotty, Fred, and Gary. Thad Young was okay, coming in off the bench, 1 for 2, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, only 2 points. But he did a lot of defensive stuff in the scheme that was really good. And then Delano, some people say Delano didn't look good at times out there, but I thought he did some good things. He had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and no points. But he was actually playing within the defensive scheme pretty well, and he didn't get burned too bad. So I'm not too upset. Like I said, this is a weird game. I'm not that upset with them to a degree. On the other side of the ball, really, Franz and Paulo really were the things that killed us. The fact that they had so many guys making threes. And Nick said this in the press conference after the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They had 6 guys on their team make two threes or more. And that's impressive. That's really good. I mean, Kevon Harris was killing us last night in some ways. Cole Anthony, obviously annoying. Mo Bamba, very annoying. Admiral Schofield is dirty. He should have had way more fouls than he did. And yeah, he was getting away with some stuff. They were letting him get away with some stuff. I still don't think Markelle Fultz is that good. Bobo they didn't use him as much, but when he was out there, he was definitely a rebounding and defensive presence. He very much messed up some close shots that we would have easily made, like some stuff that Chris Boucher would have put in. Bobo's presence just being there messed that up. It sucks. All right, let's see. Alistair's here. Good morning, Alistair. This team needs to learn how to win again. Yeah, that's part of it. It's like part of the drawing board is, all right, first thing first, we need to remember how to play defense. and make sure that that's sound. And I think we can check that off. I think that we did so good on defense last night. In fact, I can't get so mad at them just because they worked so hard last night. It's not that they didn't put effort in last night. It's just that they just did not have any offensive juice, but they definitely were playing defense and putting out a good effort on that end of the court. So I can't get mad at them. But part of it is learn the defense, how to play it again and play it sound. And then now we have to go through that learning process again that Alistair's saying. We have to learn how to win again. We have to learn how to control games that are close to the end of the game and make sure that we manage it to win. And we can do that. We know how to do it. We have experience doing that. So we're a little bit ahead of maybe some teams like the Magic who don't have a lot of experience doing it, and they're kind of still learning it. But we have guys that have experience doing this. So maybe easier for us to getting back to the winning ways of managing the clock and making sure the score is on the right side by the end of the game. So, but this is true, Alistair. This is something that we have to reaffirm and reaccomplish, that we are sound at winning games and learning and winning them at the end of the game. Fun guy saying, laughing my ass off, hard to care about keeping Orlando at 18 if we were only able to score 19 against Orlando. Laughing my ass off. Out of all the teams, this is sad. I still think that's a huge accomplishment. And that's just that style of game, fun guy, is that, that's a grind kind of game. And 1 point is huge. And yeah, the big part of that is that we really didn't have any offense like going. We were stagnant. We were getting points like manufactured, but we weren't hitting our open shots still. So that's kind of deflating in a way. Now, if we were hitting our open shots and we were getting like transition stuff going, like we're easy baskets and fast break, that score would have been way different. But we're still struggling on the offensive end. But at least we showed our defensive side and we held them to it. I know that sounds crazy, but listen, I'm going to say this right now. Orlando's a good defensive team. People may think they're not, but they actually are. And it really is guys like Mobamba and Bol. Paulo's a pretty good defender too himself. They're a good defensive team. They're underrated in this department, and they may get more recognition for this as the season goes on. I think they're going to start winning games, guys. Seriously, I think Orlando may have had a really bad part of the first part of the season, but I think they're ready to start winning some games. The Magic are not going to be an easy team for people to beat with their combination of such crazy length and good three-point shooters. So yeah, they're gonna be tough to beat going out from now. Isaac Campbell saying Doughton finishing strong. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the 905 game yesterday. A bright spot, a spot that really made me happy. Jeff Doughton hitting the game winner last night of yesterday during the day. We beat the Maine Celtics by 1 point. This is a crazy game. I watched it. We were losing the whole entire game to Maine by a small margin, not too big. It would maybe get up to 10 points at times. But for the most part, it was very close. And then very much right at the end of the game, the 905 snatched up and stole the game from them. Like really, really close the whole entire game. And it was Jeff Doughton. Jeff Doughton making the basket. That's why he's my number one star of the game, just because he hit the game winner. I'm giving him the number one star. He was 7 of 13 from the field, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, 15 points. And Reggie Perry is my second star of the game. He had a good bounce back game from the horrible game on Friday that he had where he only got 2 rebounds. He got 10 rebounds, 23 points, a double-double, 7 assists himself, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 9 of 15 from the field, 2 3-pointers, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Just a great game by Reggie Perry. In fact, I would make him the number one star, but Jeff hit that game winner and absolutely won the game for us right at the end. And then Justin Champagne's my third star on the 905 yesterday. He's been playing very strong lately, and he really is showing that he is healthy and that he plays at a certain level when he does. 9 of 16 from the field. He had 2 3-pointers also, 2 of 3 from the free throw line as well. 3 offensive rebounds for 6 total, 3 assists, 1 block, 23 points for Justin Champagne. So great job by the 905, kind of hanging around, messing with the Celtics and then stealing one at the end. Like I said, the announcer said, this is a devastating loss for the Maine Celtics. And when I hear that, that makes me happy because that means the Celtics lost on some level. But yeah, the other people to note, I mean, Ron Harper is, I don't know, man. Ron Harper is really up and down. He's not playing like at a certain level that I like. He very much is kind of looking like David Johnson for this year. Hassani Gravett has not been good in the starting lineup. I don't know if Eric Curry can continue to start him. I think that it's a much better look with Gabe Brown out there. Although I don't know why he's doing it because they don't need another point guard. Jeff Doughton's playing point guard fine. So I don't know. Hassani maybe needs to come off the bench again. And they need to put Gabe Brown back in the starting lineup because Gabe Brown was 5-9 last night, 14 points, 5 rebounds. And he's just a better look in there. And then, we had David Johnson actually had a pretty good game last night, 4 of 8 shooting, 2 assists, 1 steal, 11 points for David Johnson. But yeah, just a little look at the 905 beating the Maine Celtics. They're now 6-8. They are eliminated from the Showcase Cup, but I think they eliminated the Maine Celtics from the Showcase Cup last night also. I think they eliminated the Celtics from being in the Showcase Cup yesterday. So we played a little bit of a spoiler, and that's kind of cool. All right, let's keep going. Leslie is saying Nick Nurse needs a day off and let Adrian Griffin coach a game again. Nick Nurse, take care of yourself with some Buckleys and watch the game on your couch like the rest of us. Well, he was sick for a good month. That whole time when Fred was sick, Nick was sick too. And you could tell, like his voice was like and his nose would always be like bright red. And you could tell his eyes were watery. And he just looked real sick. He looks better now. Maybe that's when he should have sat out a little bit, but I don't know. We got to figure this out. The one thing I will say about Nick is that he realizes that there's trouble and he's trying and he's being very humble and he's admitting where there's problems. And he really does have kind of a realistic grasp on what's happening. It's like he said last night in the after game press conference. He said, we just make a couple of our threes, we win this game. And Fred said it himself. It's like, Fred, you just step up and make like 2 or 3 more threes than you did, we would have won the game last night. Seriously, it was that close. We just need to make some more threes. And I don't know if that's totally, I don't know. Nick may need a break. I don't know if we start losing so much. I don't know. I don't want to see. I get real worried about him possibly getting fired, and I don't think he should be. I don't think he should be. A lot of really good Raptor fans think he should be at this point. I don't agree with them. I really don't. Monique saying, congratulations, 905. Way to grind it out. Wow. Tonight they were focused. Yeah, it was really good that they got that at the end and they figured out how to manage the game at the end of the game to make sure that they had the winning number at the end of the game, up by 1 point, 100-99. That was the final score. And it really was a Jeff Doughton last second shot that won the game. Let's see. Sue's here. Good morning, everyone. I know the refs sucked last night, handing fouls to everyone, but we can't blame them for our poor shooting performance. We need to change a few things up, shake this all off. Yeah. Ultimately, the shooting is the worst thing that happened to us last night, but the refs are on the top 3 list of what hurt us last night. I really will say that. I'll say if the thing that messed us up from our side is our shooting, our offensive inefficiency, ineffectiveness, whatever you want to call it, incompetence, whatever. And then the length and the size of that Magic team really hurt us in a lot of ways. And in some ways, they have our kryptonite because they can out-rebound us. That they really out-rebound us. I don't know if Precious being in the lineup would help in some ways. Like maybe he would help that battle. But like the rebounding battle with Orlando is going to be very important going forward. Whenever we play Orlando, I'm going to be looking at that rebounding battle because they've beaten us 2 games in a row, basically because they beat us on the boards. That is a huge part of why they won these 2 games in Orlando this weekend. It sucks, man, because we beat the Lakers on Wednesday and we're like looking, we could be on a streak this weekend. Well, the opposite. We're on a losing streak, and Orlando is on a 3-game win streak. The first time in 2 years, y'all. Orlando has not won 3 games in a row since 2 seasons ago. So this is a really like an interesting thing with them. I'm telling you, they're about to do some stuff and maybe get up involved in playoff stuff or play-in stuff very soon. They're ready. They're very ready. But Bonchero or whatever, he's not going to take long. He's figuring it out already because he's being a superstar for them already at the end of games and helping them close out and having that killer instinct to win the game and close it out. I see that's the kind of quality I want to see in some of our young players. It doesn't matter who. It could be Pascal and OG. I just want somebody to have that killer instinct like Banchero has. He's saying, okay, this is the time for me to take over the game, make sure we score, and we're above and winning. And sometimes Fred's that guy. Gary could be that guy, maybe a little bit, but Pascal definitely should be that guy. And he's not doing enough of that. He can score. He can score at will. Well, why isn't he scoring at will when we really need it the most? That's what I'm saying. Lion Hunter's here. Good to see Lion Hunter. I find it hard to blame Fred last night. He took like 3 different shots to the head and still tried to get to the free throw line. Played pretty good defense. You know what? I won't blame him myself. He blames himself. It's himself taking it really hard and saying, look, I'm the figurehead. I'm the leader. I'm the captain of this team. And I have to lead them. And it's like he can't point fingers at anybody else until he gets his shit straight himself. So he's not very good at being a leader right now because he can't talk to them in any kind of way constructively and criticize them because he has to look at himself in the mirror and fix his shit first. And that's tough. And I agree with you, Lion Hunter. I don't blame Fred for anything. In fact, I admire his courage. I admire him going in there and taking the knocks. I admire him fighting, being a fighter, like having bad games recently. And last night wasn't a horrible game for him, but it still didn't warrant me giving him a star for last night because it just wasn't enough. But I don't blame him solely. I mean, he could, like, that's what he said himself. He said, if I make 2 or 3 more threes last night, we win the game. And he's right. He's right to a degree because like 2 or 3 more threes would help us in that deficit with them making so many threes. And also, who knows? Those threes could have been huge momentum threes. You know, he missed 5 threes last night. Gary missed 5 threes last night. Pascal missed 4 threes. Barnes missed 2 threes. And then all the bench were 0 for 3 for threes. So that's a very bad 3-point shooting performance by a team collectively. But Fred, he's the leader. He's going to lead and take accountability himself at the top. Guardian Transit saying, maybe we should question Trevor Gleason's offensive plan. We are in trouble. A third of the season done and a tough time in the schedule. You know, I like the flex offense still in some ways. Like in some ways, I do see where it cultivates open shots. I just don't think these guys are very good at taking them or understanding when they're happening. I think that they're not aggressive enough in that. But to do the flex offense really well, you have to be very perceptive and every little detail of what the defense is giving you and really dissect it and do it. And there's missed opportunities all over the place with the flex offense where they could there's a little wrinkle or something that they did. Maybe they didn't do this hedge right, or they're not rotating quick enough on this, where they need to pass it to somebody and they'll be open. Now, another thing I hate about our offense right now, and this is very much a Pascal and Fred thing, that they, you know, we do so much to move the ball around, trying to beat the defense on our offense, that sometimes we actually beat the defense a little bit, but then when the ball gets to Fred or Pascal, all of a sudden they hold it. And everything resets and the defense is absolutely set back up. You know, when teams are trying to beat the defense with passing, they don't just stop passing it at some point and assess what's going on and let everything just catch up. In fact, that's the whole buildup to try and beat the defense is this pass, 1 pass, 2 pass, 3 pass, 4 pass, 5 pass, boom, then the shot. And it's like on the 3rd or 4th pass, we're holding it and not continuing to move the ball to try and beat the defense, to figure it out, the puzzle. And that's been a big, huge problem. I hate that. I hate that when they assess. When Fred assesses, when he gets the ball at the 3-point line, he's just standing there and he's looking and kind of figuring it out. The whole Magic defense is getting right back to where they're supposed to be and tightening up again. That everything we did to loosen up their defense by moving the ball around with like the 3 or 4 passes before is ruined. And in some ways, that could be like Scotty finds a really good like pass to Chris down low, but Chris doesn't have it exactly. So he kicks it back out to Gary. Then Gary's throwing it up to Fred at the top of the key. And then Fred's holding it again. All that kinetics that was built up from Scotty throwing it to Chris to Gary, Gary to Fred is done when you hold the ball and it stops. And then the whole Magic defense can reset and just set right back into being fully back and guarding on us. We can't beat defenses when we stop the ball from moving. And that is a big problem in this thing. I noticed it last night. I was like, what the fuck? Why did you stop moving the ball? Now they caught up and they're back defending us really well. Like, that's something I want the Raptors to look at is like, seriously, look at that, where that fucks up your offensive efficiency. You guys got to work the ball around harder until you absolutely, and you got to be aggressive with it. You can't be passive with it and kind of like, no, you need to throw it this one. And then whoever gets it, you need to shoot it. Don't even hesitate. There can't be any hesitation on our offense. We have to be sure and we have to keep it moving because the other team's defenses are just doing too well against us. And we're not, even when we get these open shots, we're not making them. That's the other double whammy of it. So it's not moving enough. And then when we get the open shot finally, we don't hit it. If I had hair, I'd pull it out. I would be pulling it out. All right, let's see. But the flex offense is supposed to cultivate and derive opportunities, easy offensive opportunities. That's the way it worked in Australia. That's the way it won championships for Gleason over there, is that these dudes really kind of like are smart and figure out, oh, this is the time I need to go up. Now, part of the problem is that we have young players that don't know all the opportunities that are in front of them all the time and know when to take advantage of them, when the green light is there. And that those opportunities they'll become more aware of them as they become more veteran. But there's stuff being left on the table that's right in front of them that they could go do. It's quite often, sometimes we'll see a good shot. Oh, Fred, you're open, shoot it. But he makes an extra pass to the next guy. And it's Gary, and he's in the corner, and it's kind of like he's getting crowded, and it's not a good shot. Where Fred should have just took the shot that he had already. We can't have guys be gun shy. You guys got to go ahead and take the shots, the best ones you get. Because sometimes you're shooting, like Gary will shoot a shot when it's not a good shot selection. Alvin pointed it out last night. It was like, look, that's not a good shot selection for this point of the game. Meanwhile, you're passing up open shots that you could shoot, but you're taking really hard shots with people contesting it. Yeah, I don't like that. There's a couple problems there. Jimmy Pope saying he's got nothing to say. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's best, like you may have heard when you're young, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I would say this, Jimmy, just wait. Maybe we'll have something nice to say after a game against Sacramento Kings on Wednesday. So no problem. If you want to put yourself on mute for a little bit because you may be cussing, you may be a little angry, you may be a little upset, throwing things in your house. Yeah, let's go ahead and just hold our tongue until we get back into some good vibes and good winning, and then we'll start it again. I'm with you, man. He's got nothing to say. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's throwing his hands up. I get it. Alistair's saying someone's getting fired. I don't know if it'll go that route. I think it may be that somebody may be getting traded, that we may just need to have a shake up like that. Like maybe part of the problem is that because we had so much continuity from last year, and it really is a family feeling on the Raptors, maybe people are a little too comfortable being in the family. And then people need to realize still, this is the NBA and this is competitive, and we need everybody to come in with the best effort and the best preparation. And, Masai and Bobby will start looking at who's the guys who are really doing this and who aren't. And then, there may be moves, and maybe we do go acquire some. I'm hearing more and more trades. Like there's a trade out there talking about getting Jakob Poeltl back to our team. And I love it. But the trade, the one that I heard this week, is Khem Birch and first rounders for Jakob Poeltl. In some ways, I don't totally want to get rid of Birch. But if we did get rid of Birch, Poeltl would be the guy I'd like to have coming back. And he would be a totally different kind of look for us on defense. Like he would really help our defense in certain ways, but he would not help any of our offensive problems. That's the thing. So if we're going to make a deal, we probably need to get a very capable offensive player. And there's no home runs on that. There are absolutely no home runs on that unless you get absolute superstar kind of player. And we're not going to trade for a superstar. So it's going to be like a bench 3-point specialist that is just hopefully just a dead eye and it's just a money 3-point shot whenever he takes one. So it's more likely there's going to be a trade than somebody gets fired. Kareem's saying, how the fuck the Raptors invest thousands of dollars on 37 feet shooting analytics board and still manage to be last in shooting percentage? I know, this is weird. And it's so weird, the coincidental timing of getting the Noah board and how bad our shooting has been since then. I know Nick Nurse loves this thing, and they've used it in the past at different times already. It's just they wanted to get their own one and have it in the facility. I don't know if it has anything to do with it. I think that this is just a really dumb coincidence. And the Noah system is very good. But I'm wondering the same thing, Kareem. I'm like, well, how the fuck did we shoot so bad? We got the Noah system. It should be telling us exactly what's wrong with what we're doing, and they should be able to adjust. It could be the Noah system has this weird effect of getting them more in their head about their shot. Maybe they need to be a little more unconscious about it, a little more muscle memory and just like reps. And like, you know what? Sometimes those are the best shooters where they're in the zone. They don't even think about it. They're just like, boom, they're money. Maybe they need to be more like that instead of like maybe in their heads, they're thinking, okay, well, if I shoot a little bit more to the left, It'll go more swish through the, they may be very fine tuning it, and maybe they're too much in their heads about how they're shooting and thinking about that instead of being more unconscious and just letting it flow. That could be part of it. That really could be part of it, Kareem. I'm just trying. I mean, I'm grasping at straws. I'm not necessarily factual on this. I'm just trying to Brian Windhurst. What is this phenomenon between the Noah system and why we're shooting so bad right now? It's weird. It is so weird. It's supposed to help us. I don't know. Maybe they got the Noah system on the wrong setting. Oh, Nick, look, you didn't have this on the right setting. Just flip this up. This is actually for good shooting. Oh, you mean we had it on the bad shooting settings on the Noah system this whole time? Oh, no wonder. I wish it was that simple. That would be fantastic if that was true. Like if there was some weird switch on the side of it. Oh, you had it on bad shooting percentage, negative shooting percentage. You should have just flipped this switch. That would be so funny. But really making me cry too. Fun guy saying, I started off calling Nurse out on here because I saw the major flaws very easily and everyone got on me on here. And now everyone is catching on. Rotation's all wrong. But see, to me, it's a night by night basis. I don't say that his rotations are bad normally. I'd say that all right, listen, if a 5-game stretch, I'd say 1 out of those 5 games, he has bad rotations. And pretty much coaching and doing things right for the other games, even if we're not winning. He's done a really good job. Like last night, I thought he did really good with the rotations. On Friday, didn't. I did not think he was a bad rotation game on Friday. But yesterday, he did a good job with the rotations, and he was smart. And the other thing he did last night that I really like is he's doing this more often recently. And it really shows that he's not trusting the team as much, and he can't, is he's calling timeouts sooner when we're in trouble. Before, he would like wait and let them try and work it out and maybe not call a timeout soon enough. Well, he's very much calling timeouts right away when he needs to call them right now, and I like that. He's kind of killing an old bad habit of trying to let them play through things. And he's actually like saying, okay, no, we need a timeout. They just hit three threes in a row. We got to stop the bleeding and stop that momentum. You see how effective the refs are at cutting off our momentum. And in fact, the other team, the Orlando Magic, Jamal Mosley, he can kill our momentum by calling a timeout after a good run by us. And that's what coaches do. They cut the momentum off. So if they have the Orlando coach getting his timeouts in to cut our momentum off on offense, and the refs are using their bag of tricks to cut momentum off for us, it's really hard for us to garner any kinetics and momentum on the offensive end when people are stymieing us with stopping play on the court. I really, really do want to fight for getting this change, Joe Dumars, in the NBA about the 24-second clock. If the 24-second clock runs out, let the team just run out. You do not need to side out the ball and punish a team for a good defensive effort of stopping a team from scoring for 24 seconds. You actually punish them when you blow the whistle and you say, okay, bring the ball to side out. If they get the ball and they're already moving into transition and moving down the court, you should allow them the reward for such a good defensive effort of running the team out on the shot clock and them not getting a good shot. They get the reward of getting a transition going. That you need to change this rule, Joe Dumars. That the 24-second shot clock runs out and the other team, the right team has the ball, then you should just let them play. No reason to whistle and make them side out because you are hurting teams that get momentum off of good defensive energy and good things at the defensive end. And this is a big thing I want to see change. If they change this next offseason, then they will have hurt us. But who knows? I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, I'm not gonna diss Nick. I'm actually on his side because in some ways I think he might be listening to me. At least the Scotty basket at the very beginning and the Khem Birch, the way he played him yesterday, is I don't know. It just may be that this is just common sense. Monique saying 3 stars of the game for 905 Doughton, Eric Curry, and more down the stretch 3 stars of the game. Okay, so you're going to give the 3 stars of the game to Jeff Doughton and Eric Curry. You're giving it to the coach. Well, I guess that's kind of good. I do like that Eric won a close game because there have been a lot of close games that he has failed to win, and he finally won one. So I'm very happy about that. And Jeff Doughton for sure, but you only put 2 there. There's got to be 3 if it's 3. And then the other one, you're saying Gary and Khem, and even in a loss, Pascal played okay, not good. Pascal was fine, but he just was ineffective because he was taken out of the game by foul trouble. And then, like, he just didn't assert himself fully in the way that a superstar needs to do to say that this is a game that I'm going to be the best player in the game. Like, you look at the stat sheet every night, you should be able to look and see between the two teams who is the superstar that took over the game and did the best. Who is the absolute best player on the court? Well, Gary had the most points out of everybody, but I would argue and say that Paulo Banchero was the best player on the court because he got a double-double, 20 and 12, and he shot 6 for 14, and he absolutely did superstar stuff at the end of the game to help his team win the game. That corner shot in particular was a huge shot, and it was a very tough shot, and that was a superstar winning kind of play that Paulo hit that shot in the corner. So it really, you got to look at this, and this may be one of the things we start doing on this channel is who was the man in the game? Who was the best player on the court between the two teams? Was it Kyrie? Was it Pascal? That's what I want to see. It should be Pascal. It should be Fred. It should be OG. It should be those kind of people, and not Kevin, not Kevin Durant, not Kyrie Irving, not Tyrese Maxey, not Franz Wagner. None of those guys. We need to be having the top superstar on the court. And that's why I'm upset with Pascal and Fred today. But not totally. Lionhunter's saying the issue with this team is systemic. The defense doesn't remain engaged and we can't shoot. We can fix this, starting with letting Birch or Young start as your center or go small with Trent. Yeah, depending on who we play. When we started Koloko, I was like, okay, we'll see. And he found out really quick within 5 minutes of game. He's like, okay, I see what's going on here. He's green. And like I said, the combo of having him and Scotty out there both learning at the same time really makes holes in our defense real fast. And that's why we need, maybe one youngster and 4 vet or like capable guys that have been involved in the NBA for a while that really know. Because there were moments where you could see Koloko out there mess up and fail at assignments. You could see that happening out there at times. And that was part of the reason why he pulled him so early. And Khem played 18 minutes last night. I love him playing so much. That goes against what we were worried about this weekend, that maybe he's like not playing because he's hurt. Well, it looks like he can play more than 4 minutes and be effective and be fine. In fact, he was moving really well. There was that one play where Fred went to the basket and he cut towards the basket and he found him. He moved so quick to make that layup. And I like that gumption. And once again, I love how Khem rotates on defense. He can come all the way out and guard a guy, but then boom, he's flipping all the way down and catching Mo Wagner before he gets a dunk or anything like that. He's coming back and sealing it out still. So he's doing a fantastic job. But I think you're right. The issue with this team is systemic in some ways. Some of it is because of the way we built this team. Some of it is because of the way Nick Nurse has his system. And some of it is just that our players are hurt and slumping. So there's a lot of different things going on. Alistair saying bench Fred and Scotty. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really would shake it up. Seriously, motivate these guys. I know that maybe it'll be disheartening to them or something like that, but maybe it'll really piss them off. And maybe you'll get some like good results. I love the idea. Like when I was a basketball coach and I had so many players that were kind of the same talent, it really was effort. Whoever was giving the best effort was going to get to play. And if people weren't going to be playing or play well, then it was real easy to sub guys in that were on the bench and hungry to want to play instead. And that's the way I feel like the Raptors are right now. And that too many guys are kind of like made men on this team that are just going to get minutes no matter what, that they're just granted to them, given and not earned. And that's the part of the problem, is that we need to make it around the team that you earn your minutes and you earn your time on the court. And it really is like changes during the game. It fluctuates. And like if Gary's having a fantastic night, let him play. But if he's cold, then maybe you bench him for a good chunk. Same with Fred. None of these guys should be untouchable. In some ways, Pascal's the only one who should get a free pass, because he's absolutely essential for our team to win. And that's part of what the problem is that Nick's giving too many of the regular starters free passes, whether it's Fred, OG, Scotty, or Pascal. Maybe only 2 of those guys should get free passes all the time. And then the other guys should be on a leash. And other people that are hungry, like Malachi Flynn, should be getting some of those minutes. Let's see. Leslie saying Delano and Birch need more minutes. At this point, let's roll some dice. We need to try to mix it up because we're becoming increasingly predictable. Yeah, in some ways we are. It's weird for being so talented and ambiguous and so many multi-talented ways we can beat people. In some ways we are predictable, but in some ways we're not. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'm all for what your first part is, what you're saying, Leslie. Delano and Khem should be playing more. In fact, I really loved at one point there was like a Canadian chemistry out there when Boucher, Birch, and Banton were all playing together, and I think they were out there with Scotty and Freddie. And I loved that lineup. That lineup was awesome. In some ways, I was thinking to myself, this is like a battle of the bees. You got Bamba, Bobo, and Banchero versus Boucher, Banton, and Birch and Barnes. It's like a battle of the bees. I was thinking about that last night. I was like, these are the bees battle. And in some ways, I really like that 3 Canadian-headed team with Delano, Khem, and Chris, the 3 Canadians on our team playing together. Because in some ways, all right, we're going to worry about effort of players on the team. Well, these Canadian guys are playing for their country. And in some ways, they're like more inspired to play all out. And in fact, you see that with them. Chris, you know how he plays. You look at how Khem is putting effort out there when he does get to play. And then Delano's so quick. And you don't think Delano takes pride in playing for the Toronto Raptors, being from Toronto, and has a little bit more extra gumption? In fact, sometimes those Canadian guys may be guys he needs to play more just because they have the dedication and the nationalism for Canada to be out there and playing for us. So I really love those 3 guys out there together. It's fun when I see Boucher, Birch, and Banton on the court all together. We did get the 3 Canadian lineup for a little while last night, and it was fun. We were actually playing really well at that time, too. Now, the point in the game when everything switched, and this was pointed out by Fred and Nick last night, was at the 7-minute mark in the second quarter, was when Orlando went on a run and actually separated themselves from us. The whole first quarter and a half of the second, we were right with them and very much tied with them, but they separated from us. Well, what happened at that moment at the 7-minute point in the second quarter last night? Pascal got his 4th foul, a bullshit fucked up foul that he challenged and he lost on Nick Nurse. And then Koloko came in. Koloko came in for Pascal at that moment, and Orlando went on a 10-0 run, and that was the deficit for the rest of the game. The whole rest of the entire game, we could not close that deficit, and we let them get it. It's almost like we let the genie out of the bottle, and we couldn't let the genie put the genie back in the bottle at that point. It's impossible. I think that's what they say about genies. How do you get the genie back in the bottle? Well, you have to trick them. But in this point, like, look, we played such good defense. We were holding them down. We weren't letting them get anything going good for a quarter and a half. Pascal gets a 4th foul. He gets taken out, and we bring Koloko in, and boom, there's a double-digit lead for the Magic over us that stayed for the whole game and basically was the difference by the end of the game also. And, that's what I'm saying, is it can happen like that quick. And I don't totally blame Koloko for the loss last night. In some ways, that may have been the biggest coaching mistake that Nick made last night, is that he put Koloko in when Siakam had to come out. He could have put that in. He could have put in a different guy. And I don't think Koloko was the right one at that time because, boom, we saw a change in the game. And that may be part of the reason why Koloko didn't start the second half, is because the change in the game was very evident at that point. Kareem saying, I'm not in panic mode just yet, but the effort being played in these games are straight up disrespectful. We lost that competitive edge, and only way to get that back is by making a real adjustment. I will disagree with this completely, Kareem Thomas. I may agree with this on Friday night after the game on Friday, but not for the game last night. These guys played their asses off, and they have nothing to show for it. In fact, that's commendable in a way. And I know that doesn't mean they're going to give up or try any less in the next game. They have seen how this works. They actually figured out something. Like, in a way, last night may be the moment that Nick Nurse says we clicked again. We were talking about this the last couple of weeks, that last year in December, the team just clicked all of a sudden and something set in and things worked out for the rest of the season after that. Well, I think we might have had that moment last night on the down low, and none of us that realize that right now. That in the first quarter and the way we started the game, everything was clicking the way it was supposed to, like it did last year. And that we may have got it back. And we don't even realize it because we lost the game last night. And we may see it on Wednesday, and you may realize that what I'm saying right now is true. That click that we felt that happened last December may have happened last night against the Magic. And we don't even realize it. And it really is dependent on the defense clicking and playing really well. They made such a good effort last night. They got beat up and bruised, cut down the face, hit in the head, kicked in the head, smacked in the face, beaten down, thrown to the ground, all that kind of stuff last night. I can't get mad at them for that. And it's not effort. These guys worked their asses off and they were warriors yesterday. And I'm proud of them. And that's why I'm not mad at them today. That's not why I'm not upset like I was on Saturday. I was pissed on Saturday, but today I'm not, because I really do feel like these guys did try really, really hard to win the game. And that ultimately it was just their poor shooting that did them in. That if they made a couple more shots, we would have won the game last night, because the defensive effort, the effort in general on the court was fantastic. It really was. And I can't agree with Kareem Thomas on this as far as like them being disrespectful to us. They really tried hard for us as Raptor fans last night. They really tried to make us happy and get us the win. It's just the shots weren't there. And I can't get mad at them for the defensive end at all. And the competitive edge was shown in the fact that they were competing, even though they were having such a hard time. They're running brick walls, whether it's like a deflating Franz Wagner three, whether it's deflating calls from stupid ass Kevin Cutler and Ben Taylor, whether it's just deflating that we miss open shots when we finally get them. There was a lot of deflating things in the game yesterday, but they did not give up. They continued with the same kind of effort the whole 48 minutes. It just didn't add up to a win. So I can't get mad at them for effort. I really can't. They did a good job last night. G saying this may be a reach, but are they playing certain rotations to see the biggest flaws they have for future trades? I mean, that's all getting assessed at the same time for sure. That whether it's like, yeah, they're looking into everything from every angle and every kind of possible scenario. And this could be true, but I don't know. I don't think that, once again, like OG doesn't shoot to miss. We're not doing things to look for bad. We're looking for positive and do things for good. And we're not kind of like looking for, I don't know. This is an interesting question, G. And this probably is totally true. I don't think it's a reach. I don't think it's a reach. I think that, and this isn't probably Nick that's doing this. This is Bobby. This is Bobby. He's watching them in that kind of way that you just described. Monique saying, how good was it to see Khem? Be honest. It was so good, Monique. And I was like, yes, we need a hero. We're holding out for a hero, and his name is Khem. He's got to be big. He's got to be wide, and he can't let them come in. We need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero, and his name is Khem. He plays good defense, and he'll make a shot every once and again. Parody song, boom, inspired all of a sudden. Yeah, it was really good to see Khem out there, and I don't mind being right. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Oh, it jumped majorly. All right, good. You guys really filled it up. I want to make sure I get to all your comments, so don't worry. I will make sure everybody gets read today. Fun guy saying, would have been nice to see Flynn yesterday and Doughton, Champagny, and Harper Jr. We needed guards to break down the Bobos and Mobamba. Again, right back to bad coaching and recognition. All right, I could maybe make the argument that Flynn could have helped us, because obviously, wait, we need three-point shooting? Wait, well, maybe one of our best three-point shooters is getting a DMP? Yeah, that's maybe a mistake by Nick Nurse right there, for sure. That, as far as the 905 guys, they couldn't be there because they were in Maine. But I will say this. Sure, I think Jeff Dowden could definitely help our main roster. And right now, the way Justin Champagny's playing right now, he needs to get called up, and he actually does need to get some minutes on the main roster. He's playing fantastic right now. And I think that the next time he's with our team, with the main roster, I think he is going to get some minutes. He can get plugged in, because he needs to be rewarded for how hard he's working on the 905 level right now. I'm really big on Justin Champagny right now. And if our rebounding problem is having a problem right now, he's a good help for this. So I would like to see him get some run. Jeff Doughton and Justin and Flynn, for sure. I agree with that stuff. I don't know if guards will help us against Bol, though. Bol is so weird, and he covers so much ground, and those dudes block so much shots. They're like having two Christian Kolokos out there at the same time, and they're very annoying. They're very, very annoying, and they're hard to shoot around. And then you add in that they play like tall perimeter guys on defense too. Like you have Paulo and Franz out there guarding the perimeter. It's really hard to get a clear shot against them. I'm telling y'all, the Magic are a much better defensive team in this league than people are giving them credit. Their record shows, and they're going to show it more and more as the season goes on. They're a good defensive team. They're very hard to score on. And that's a big part of the reason why we lost twice to them in the last 2 games. Nameless is saying, great point. Every season has its rock bottom. Hopefully this is ours. Yeah, I don't want to go any further or lower than this. I mean, seriously, in some ways you have to just desensitize yourself to this and just be like, all right, this is just how it is right now, except that things will get brighter and be better down the road. I'll be singing Annie again. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that on Wednesday we'll beat the Kings. I really hope I can say tomorrow, the Raptors will win tomorrow. I hope so. It's only a day away. See, I should have been at Jack's Danforth show. I'm telling you, I should have been at Jack Armstrong's Christmas show. Oh, yeah, I could have sang some Annie. Monique is saying, as of right now, 9th seed, we will move up eventually. I'm not losing hope, just saying the truth. Yeah, I mean, that's annoying. Stevie Roots, he texted me before the game on Friday. He said, Lex, by Sunday night, we could be in 4th in the East. I'm like, okay, Steve, I love that. But man, shut up, Steve. You might have jinxed us because we lost both the games and we're not even anywhere close to that. It is what it is. And the thing that I hate the most, all right, you want to know what I hate the most about where we are right now? Is if you go look at the Atlantic Division standings, we are 5th in the Atlantic Division below the New York Knicks, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Brooklyn Nets, and of course the Celtics. And I hate that. I never want to be the worst team in the Atlantic Division statistically. Now we're actually tied with New York, but due to a tiebreaker, we actually are seated lower than them. And actually, no, they won their game yesterday. So they're actually on a 4-game win streak. So they're actually ahead of us. They're 2 games up on us now, or a game up on us. That sucks. I don't want to be the worst team in the Atlantic Division. I want to be either, I want to be top, obviously, but I definitely don't want to be the 5th team in the Atlantic Division. That's fucked up. That should not be the case. We need to change that. Click saying, I'm extremely concerned with this team. It looks like we're going to be playing catch up the rest of the season. I really hope we get through this horrible part of the season. Yeah, we are going to be playing a bit of catch up, but in some ways, all right, if we want to look at last year, we had a worse record still at this point. As crazy as it feels right now, we were in worse shape at this point in some ways last year because we still had to go through the Boxing Day and the horrible, like everybody get COVID and all that losing. And it wasn't until we got into January that we actually made it over 500 and started really building on top of 500 was in January. So I don't know, maybe that can happen, but you're right. We are always playing catch up. We played catch up last year and we're doing it again this year, which I didn't want. I wanted them to get out running like the Celtics have done this season and I wanted them to be like the Celtics are doing right now with their record. That's what I was really hoping and forecasting in my head when I saw Rico Ryan's runs and just all the good stuff happening in preseason. I was like, well, we could do this. The way I expected the Raptors to play this season was very much similar to what the Bucks and the Celtics are doing this season. And that's a big part of why I'm disappointed. Now, Click, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of my stream, but I'm very much not as concerned as I was 2 days ago because we played really good defense last night. And this is the cornerstone, the most important, biggest part of our foundation for winning. And the fact that we still show that we can do that and do it very well, honestly, we played a very good defensive game last night, makes me a little less concerned than a couple days ago. So that's what I'm saying. With your name, I was saying earlier, maybe we found that click that we found last December around this time last night, and we don't even realize it. That may be like in a couple months, Nick's going to say, yeah, that last loss in Orlando, we figured it out in that game on our defense. And ever since then, we've just been running. And that's what I really hope is true, that this is what's going to happen. G saying refs were very inconsistent. Raptors can't shoot right now, but those refs were brutal. They treated Banchero better than Pascal. They definitely did. They totally did. They disrespect our guys left and right. Kevin Cutler is an asshole. Seriously, that's a big bully. I hate that dude so much at this point. And Ben Taylor, I'm starting to remember, he's that country guy that sometimes, like, I used to make fun of him years ago because he sounded like George W. Bush, the way he talks in the mic sometimes. I don't know. I'm really annoyed with Ben Taylor. This is 3 losses in a row. Even though he's statistically such a good ref for us, we've lost 3 games in a row while he's ref this season so far. And that's 2 for Kevin Cutler. So, yeah, I'm not happy with them. And then you add in that rookie ref that doesn't know what he's doing. And he basically was getting pushed around by everybody. Nick Nurse, Fred, Cole Anthony, Jamal Mosley. They were all coming at Huang and letting him know he doesn't know what he's doing yet. It was a lot of that last night. I saw that. But yeah, the refs were really bad. Nameless is saying the referees literally took Gary out of the game and let Orlando pull away and win when it was close. Yeah, I was talking about that, Nameless. I saw your comment about this yesterday, and I agree with it. But like I said earlier, I think part of it was McCullough fucked up by not patching him up correctly the first time he got the chance to. And that may be something that the medical staff needs to think about next time. It's like, how can you, especially when it's a player that's so key in like the run or the momentum shift and us trying to take over, is you need to make sure that this guy can go back on the court, especially if it's a superficial wound and you just need to cover it up. Don't do a half-ass wipe. Make sure he's done and he doesn't have to come out like that. I think we learned a lesson with the medical staff last night. Seriously, this is something they're going to have to remember, how that affected things in the momentum of the game. Because in some ways, Ben Taylor was doing the right thing. It's just in some ways, maybe, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. Blood is a real big rule now, ever since HIV with Magic Johnson. This is such a big rule in the NBA. Blood is not allowed in the sport at all. And if there's a little bit of blood, you have to get subbed out. And that's unfortunately the rule. But he was so adamant about it. He was very strong-arming about it. And that's the thing I didn't like about how Ben Taylor did that. And it was very much, it was not exactly like how Pascal got 4 fouls in the first half and got taken out of the game, but it was in a way. And the fact that Scott McCullough couldn't get him done up quick enough, that's another thing. Y'all need to be like a pit stop crew on a Formula One. The way they roll in, you get the tires off, you do all this. You need to fucking patch his face up quick so that Nick can put him back in within a minute of that, because it seemed like he was out for like 2 or 3 minutes after that. And they're saying, and Matt Devlin said, oh, they're still tending to Gary's face on the bench. I'm like, well, dude, treat this like a pit stop in a racetrack. Get him fixed up quick and get him right back out there. Because I think that was a fail in itself. And that may be on the medical staff, because Ben Taylor's kind of really doing the thing, but also that it was a real momentum killer for sure. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free crew, joining late to the meeting. Thank you for being here, Cool Cat. And I know you'll review what we've said already. Lots of interesting things has been said on this channel already from the chat and also from my mouth. Very interesting insights and possibilities that coming from last night. G saying, I know we like high character guys, but I believe we need a jerk, like a Marcus Smart or a Draymond Green. Kyle was that in a way. Top teams have one of those guys getting in the other team's head and holding their own accountable. We have a little bit of that in different places. This is part of why we're so happy when we heard Pascal was getting meaner. That is part of it. OG getting a little bit of more aggressive streak, a little bit meaner. That's good. Chris Boucher is definitely relishing being a villain. He said this summer that he likes villain players in the league, and he probably is kind of a villain player himself. I love what Chris is doing. He's such a master at drawing fouls at this point. He's good at getting offensive fouls called on people, and he's very good at drawing fouls when he has the ball also. So I'm really impressed with Chris all around. And in some ways, he's kind of the role that you're talking about. In some ways, he was talking a little bit of trash with different people. I know that there was a lot of smack talk between Mo Bamba and him last night. And there was that's the reason why Chris came and slammed it on his face in the game. You remember that dunk? There's a dunk right there, Paul B. You need to take a note of that. Chris Boucher dunk on Mo Bamba's head was fantastic. And that was a product of some shit talking. I'm going to tell you right now, Bamba and him were talking trash. And then when Gary went to try and help him up, like give him his hand, and Mo Bamba waved him off. He didn't want him to touch him. Wow. And like, I love what Alvin said after that. He said, Gary's such a real baller. He's a real baller. I can tell. He's so professional. He doesn't care. He's like, he tried to do the nice thing, and the guy like dissed him. but then he went up to the free throw line and made his free throws. And I love what Alvin said. It's so true. He's just trying to be a nice guy, and Mo Bamba's being a jerk. It's like, no, don't give me your hand. I don't want help from Raptor or something like that. Is kind of what happened. So, you know, I think that we can have possibly those kind of guys. Maybe Scott will be this dude. Seriously, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen traits of Scotty Barnes from his Twitch that he could be this asshole that you're talking about. Like the way he talks trash in 2K. If he does any of that to a level on the court where he actually does so well, he can throw his weight around and talk trash. He will do it, and he could be a little bit like this guy. But I think I know what you're saying. You want like a defensive dirty player that kind of will do stuff that isn't exactly like, and you also want an attitude kind of guy, a guy that's like a real baller, a guy that's like, you know, maybe like street ball guy who's like Lou Williams, kind of like got an edge and attitude. Yeah, I could kind of see we always need that quotient to a certain degree on our team, partly because of what you're saying, the high character standards we have for guys that we have coming in. And this has always been something that the Raptors franchise has had to battle. It's being soft or having too many soft players, too many nice guys, and that we needed more edgy guys. And I agree. We probably could still use something like that, especially the kind of like AI, like Allen Iverson, I'm going to take over and win at all costs kind of guy. We need those kind of guys. And Fred can be that guy from time to time himself, but not enough, often enough right now these days is what I'm noticing. Let's see. Nameless saying, calling the Raptors is like calling a woman you see you next Tuesday. Yeah, in some ways that's not far off. Nameless, I'll agree. Click saying we just lost 2 games against the worst team in the NBA. I won't agree with that. They're not the worst team in the NBA. I said that last week after we beat them on Saturday, but they're not anymore. They've changed. They very much changed. There's something that happened between Saturday at Scotiabank Arena over a week ago and when we saw them on Friday. In fact, it may have happened in the Clippers game on Wednesday. The Magic aren't the worst team in the league. Trust me, they are not. I mean, I can go look at the standings, and I'll tell you right now. All right, see, they're already above Detroit and Charlotte now that they've won 3 games in a row. So Detroit may be the worst team. I think it may be Charlotte. Maybe it's Houston. It could be. I think it's either Charlotte or Houston is the worst team in the league right now. But it's not the Magic. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the Magic. They are on their way up, and they're going to be a force in the years to come right now. Let's see. Now look at our next 13 games. The stretch is going to make or break our season. Watch. This is totally true. What Click's saying here is true. I really agree with this. I don't think that the Raptors expected them to give us the win. They knew that they weren't going to do that, and they were very much playing very hard last night. They may not have played as hard on Friday night, and that really hurt them and made them lose that game, but they definitely played hard last night, and they put it all out on the court. It's just the shots didn't fall. But this is true. What you're saying, the next 13 games are really tough. And if we can overachieve and beat some of these top teams, then we'll be okay. Well, that's what really is going to help us and save us. It's like we have bad games. We lose to a shitty team that's not really a shitty team anymore. And then like we're going to play really good teams, but we beat them. That can wipe a whole bunch of this darkness right now away. You know, beating Sacramento, beating Brooklyn on Friday. We win both those games in a row. Yeah, we're going to feel way better by that time. So it really is a moment by moment how we feel. But I think you're exactly right. This stretch that's coming up is going to make or break whether we're going to be a contender or even be in the playoffs or not. Like if we lose a good chunk of these games for the rest of December, we may not make the playoffs. And that may be good in some ways. I don't know. That may be a good thing in some ways. I don't know. It's probably not because we want to continue to let Scotty build on a playoff experience. But who knows? Who knows? We'll have to see how it all goes down. But I think Click's right about the second part. I won't agree with that. That's not the worst team in the NBA. That's a very good defensive team that can shoot threes. Cool Cat saying Pascal couldn't play refs, gave him 4 fouls before the half. Upon return, so careful, and still the refs gave him a 5th foul. Magic has a Vision 611. Our former assistant GM is the Magic's front office, took Messiah info with him. Yeah, I agree with this. I mean, that is part of it. Jeff Weltman is the GM. He was our GM for a little while. And I don't even know if it's Vision 611. It's just, it is a little bit taller than what we're doing. And they don't have enough of guys, I don't think, to really say this. But in some ways they do. I don't know. And they do play a lot of little guys like Fultz and Anthony. So I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, Pascal was definitely handcuffed, and he really had to be, and they still fucked him up. Yeah, they definitely did fuck him up. Like it's one thing, all right, one end of the court, you're gonna let them absolutely mug us, play with ultimate like physicality, and then the other end of the court, our superstar, our All NBA player, you're gonna call for breathing on people. That's not fair, and that's a ref hit job. That is definitely a ref hit job. PM saying, please play Malachi Flynn more. Is your initials EF? No, there's PM. It's not Eric Flynn. Okay. I had to make sure. Yeah, I agree. Play Malachi Flynn more. Thanks in advance. I totally agree with that. Edmonds here, Race Mode Daily. I only saw the fourth quarter last night and avoided post coverage to keep the noise out. Glad to tune into this channel and hear positive Raptors talk. Thanks, freaks. No problem, Race Mode Daily. And yeah, it was a tough game. But listen, actually, if you had watched the first quarter, you'd be very impressed with what you saw. They really did seal them out. They had that defensive seal that I talk about that's so valuable to the Raptors. And this is why I'm so positive and shining a light today is that we recaptured our defensive seal and showed that we can effectively play very good defense for long stretches of time. In fact, I would say that we played very good defense almost the whole entire game. That a lot of what Orlando did well was they caught us sleeping on the outside with threes at a certain point, and the barrage of threes was just enough to make that difference in the game. But otherwise, we were cruising to be able to beat them. It's just that we need to keep that seal on the whole entire time and also meet and match them with the 3-point effort that they had. And that we weren't even close with that. So that's why we lost. But the game, we actually outplayed them in a lot of different ways last night. And I was very happy about it. So it's not all dark and dreary today, for sure. Fun guy saying, gee, the simplest way to summarize what you're saying is to simply say our guys are soft. Well, this has actually been a knock on our franchise and the Spurs franchise at different times because we do build with character. And that's part of the thing is like you can get all these kind of guys that kind of beat up their girlfriends or like they have like criminal records or they've done like fucked up shit or maybe they're like not really nice people. They're kind of assholes, but they're super, super talented and they're amazingly good players. But what does that do with your culture too in some ways? So it's like a balance. It's like you want to have good culture and everything, but also you want to have an edge. And what is the difference here? It's funny that you said the word soft. That's an apropos word for this, especially at certain times of the Spurs. It's like, man, they're too soft. They don't have anybody that's really got an edge. And that's been a knock on us at different times too in our franchise history. And it is something that I pay really close attention to is like, is our roster makeup too soft? And we need more edgy guys. Like Precious is a very much got a guy with an edge. I wouldn't say Precious is a soft player. And maybe that's part of what we're missing is we need that hard edge from Precious. Cool Cat saying nightly shooting school should return. Pascal and Gary are the team members shooting. Yeah, that shooting school, they should be doing this all along. In fact, Cool Cat, you may want to go back and see the whole part I talked about in the Noah system. It's very funny. My whole take on the Noah system and the joke I made about it is pretty funny. Monique saying Champagne's showing why Nick Nurse should play him. Yeah, I think he's going to get a chance to play on the big roster the next time he's up and on that team. He's going to get the play because he's earned it on the 905 level. G saying, haha, fun guy. There is truth to that, and hence why I feel the team needs that Kyle or Serge. Yeah, Serge was a good person for edge and toughness. I think we've got guys on our team that can fulfill this. It's just some of them may be a little young and green. And then some of the older guys that could do this normally, like Fred can have an edge sometimes. Pascal showed a little bit of an edge this year, but maybe he is a little too nice. Maybe he needs to be a little bit more mean or go towards his dark side that we've talked about so far this season. Where is it, Pascal? We need you to be an asshole. We need you to be this guy who's like, fuck all the rest of the players on this court. I'm the best guy on this court. I'm going to fucking take over and show everybody, show the world. And there's no doubt that I'm the man. Let's see. PM saying, could you imagine Victor Wembanyama playing alongside Bobo? No. And I hope it won't happen. I don't think it will because I think Orlando's about to get out of the mud. And if they're trying to tank for Wemby, they should either figure it out. I think that they're too good. They shouldn't because they're going to do this half-ass thing and they'll lose a bunch of games and they still won't get Wemby. So I don't think they're going to get him. I really don't. I think that this really is like the dead bottom of the barrel team in the bottom of the league is going to get him. And right now, the team that is in the Wemby sweepstakes driver's seat right now is the Detroit Pistons. and which is scary in itself. Holy crap. Maybe Cade Cunningham is out for this extended period of time right now to hurt the Pistons record, so that they're more in line to get Wemby. And that is scary because the Pistons have a lot of good young players. They're very similar to the Magic in some ways. Wemby added to them is not good either. The best landing place for Wemby to me is San Antonio. If he's going to anywhere to any of these bottom dwellers, I want him to be a Spur next year. That Popovich needs to get Wemby on the Spurs. That is where I want him to land. But him on the Magic is a nightmare. Him on the Pistons is a nightmare. Anywhere on the Eastern Conference is a nightmare, unless he's on the Raptors. I'd much rather him go out the West, and especially for a team that I like. Like, even if the Lakers end up being the worst team, which is not going to happen, they're getting their shit together, and New Orleans got him, I wouldn't be as upset as like the Magic or the Pistons getting him. I'd almost rather him be on the Pelicans and the Pelicans just be some crazy ass super team with Wemby and Zion than him go to the Magic and be on a super team with Paulo, Bobo, and Wemby. No, fuck that shit. We don't want any of that kind of stuff. So we do have to watch the bottom of the standings and kind of project where Wemby might be and what might happen with that team, because there's some pieces that he was next to. Ooh, that's not going to be good. Nameless is saying, if you fire Nick Nurse, he will be on the way to Golden State or Boston before you hang up the phone. Exactly. He's exactly right. Nameless is exactly right here. He will get snatched up so quick, and then we'll fucking regret it, because he will come and destroy us like Coach Casey has done since we let him go. Think about that. Do we really need another Coach Casey that we have to deal with in this league? That is what we would do if we put Nick Nurse out. And I don't want to do that. There's other messy things about it. It's like, you can't just fire Nick Nurse. You got to think about, he's the coach of Team Canada also. Does he just get fired from that job too at the same time? No, you can't do that. He's pretty ensconced. And honestly, in some ways, he's untouchable, just like Masai is to me, because I really do look at those guys as being very similar in their field of work. It's just that you're going to have a percentage of games you lose and you win. And we're just losing games right now. And that's why everybody wants to fire the coach. We're winning. They would not want to fire him. So I agree with this with Nameless. As soon as, if he got fired, he'd be hired by Boston tomorrow. He would be replacing Missoula. Click saying, fire Nick Nurse. I don't think we're at that level yet, unless he loses the locker room. That probably my biggest concern. If Nick loses the locker room and the players tune him out, we're fucked. Yeah, he's not done that. They gave him the effort last night. All signals are showing they're still bought in and they trust him and they believe in him. This really is this period of time in the season that the players have described as, we don't turn on each other. We stay together. We stay together. And that doesn't just mean staying together as teammates. That means staying together with the coach and not like causing problems by having defiance. It's not turning on each other. It's not pointing fingers at each other. It's staying together means we are in it together, all together. None of us are, we all have to deal with this together. And they're really good about doing this. This is a problem on other teams. They got divided really easy, and there are rifts on different teams around the league, but it's not so much on our team. We're really good about this, and I hope that's right. And you're right, Click. If he loses the locker room or the players are not listening to him or he's not able to get that, that's when coaches get in trouble. But I don't think that'll happen to him. There's too much of a pedigree and a past and the things that he's done and a track record of success over time that it'll take a long time for these players to give up on Nick. That they really do trust him. Blackhawks saying, move the ball, cut to the basket, and cut to the basketball and drive more to the basket. Yeah, just move all around in general and stop stagnating on offense by standing there and letting the defense have a rest and catch up. It's really bad. Leslie saying, we can see how valuable Kyle Lowry was. He was the leader and ran the offense really well. The vets on this team were shielded from criticism by the past vets. Yeah, I agree with this, that Kyle in some ways was the buffer. It's much like on Survivor, when you have to keep somebody who's more annoying on the team, on the tribe, so that they can be a buffer to like you not get criticism or get targeted. Kyle was very much like that. He was like the forefront at the head of getting criticism from Raptors fan base and kind of shielded other guys from it. Now, when we lost Kyle and traded him for Precious, we had a transition period, which Fred gracefully took the baton up and did a wonderful job last season. He was absolutely a perfect fill-in for Kyle last year, and he had an all-star year. And he had to carry a lot of water. He was overplayed, and he ended up getting hurt by the end of the year. Now, this year, it's not happening the same way. He's not able to carry water or fulfill Kyle's role in the same way that he did last year. And this is really the big void that is missing right now. And this is part of why Fred's not happy with how he's playing, is he's not filling Kyle's shoes right now. And this is something he's probably soul searching about and trying to figure out how to get back to that point so that he can try and fulfill the Kyle Lowry role on our team, because he really is the guy that needs to do that. And he did it very effectively last year. I just wish that, it's not easy for him this year. There's a couple different things that are a problem. It was confusing coming this season what his role was, with Scotty possibly being the point guard all of a sudden. And then the injuries and different things. He's been jerked around a bit, Fred, and as far as what we're expecting from him. And hopefully he can just get back to this. I know this is what he wants. He wants to be Kyle Lowry in Kyle Lowry's absence, Fred VanVleet. And he can do it to an extent. He can't do all of it exactly the same way, but he did it last year in an effective enough way that we really did win a lot because of that. But this is a very astute observation. The Kyle Lowry factor on our team for almost a decade was really part of building that culture. And that's why I'm worried, is like, did we lose part of the culture that Kyle built for our team because he's not here anymore? Because we had it still intact last year. But in some ways, we're losing the road games, and the road warrior mentality really was leadership by Kyle. That Kyle led our team into road games and hostile territory with a certain mindset that we would win and we would take care of business and like shut the other team's crowd up. Well, we're not finding that kind of leadership right now. That Kyle was really good at getting us ready for road games. And that may be a big part of the leadership that Fred needs to find again, is taking advantage of being that road warrior mentality of like, we're on the road, we have nothing to lose, we need to fuck this team up on their home court. And maybe that's what he needs to do too. Top of tops here, I agree, Fred and Pascal are ball stoppers, which actually ends up making their offensive opportunities more difficult. For Pascal, he can still finish, but it's hard for Fred. It hampers him severely. That is a whole thing about what offenses in the NBA have to do right now. Is defensive schemes are so good right now. You have to really solve them like a Rubik's Cube puzzle. And then part of it is the velocity and how quick you move the ball around to beat the defense as it rotates is how you try and beat it. Well, if you stop in the middle of rotating the ball around while the team's defensive rotation is trying to catch up, well, they catch up when you stop. And that's the thing that I hate about that whole phenomenon, with them stopping and assessing and looking. Now, in some ways, it's smart for them to do that, to pick it apart, but only if they pick it apart and they make a successful offensive play off of it. If you're going to hold it, Fred, you better make a good pass and get us a score. Because if you don't, you better just fucking keep moving that ball around, because it really gets the defense set for how to guard us. And I don't like that. I don't like that. And top of top, you're exactly right on that. We would have better opportunities offensively, and it wouldn't be so difficult if we weren't holding it like that. PM saying NBA's turning off the rim magnets when Raps shoot. I've often thought about this in some ways, that there are weird things that happen with the ball sometimes. And that, maybe there is on the down low some sort of weird stuff. Like, I don't know, like the jokes about putting saran wrap over the rim. You don't even know it's there. I don't know. This is very conspiracy theory, and I don't think it's probably true. But, there have been teams that have been caught not setting the goal at the right height in recent years. I think this happened in Golden State, actually. They had the goal up too high at one end. So there's a little bit of different stuff like that going on, maybe. I know the Celtics would game stupid stuff like that in the 60s. Tom Duke saying, hopefully someone checks for that simple fix. Nurse is going to be looking over the NOAA system manual. I know that switch. You just didn't see it. You just got to flip this switch. This is for positive field goal percentage, and that you had it in the negative field goal percentage setting, Nick. Oh my gosh, it was teaching them how to shoot worse. Oh, you just had to flip the switch. It's down in the right corner on the side of it, like a HD TV. Tom Duke wants an impression. Nurse, okay. All right. What do you mean? What do you mean? We just got back from Orlando, and you're telling me that the NOAA was set up wrong? Really? Just this switch? All we needed to do was just flip this switch? That's what's the problem? Oh my gosh. Wow. I don't do good Nick Nurse impressions. I feel like I don't know why. I sometimes I feel like I do his voice okay, but sometimes I don't. Cool Cat saying 1,000 shots daily is the cure for shooting woes. They need to follow Pascal's work ethic that he has with Rico Hines and Earl Watson. No excuses. I mean, I feel like these guys are shooting this much. You don't even realize it. It's just some of it is really is that some of our guys aren't naturally good shooters. It's like they really are guys who came into this league with that knock. They're not a good shooter. When they said that about Scotty last year, it really is that it's just that he hasn't worked that part of his game out totally at that time. He's worked a lot of it out since, but he's just not fundamentally known for being a great shooter or a good shooter coming out of college. And that you have guys that come out of college that are just dead eyes, sharpshooters. That's what they do. That's their bread and butter. And when you have big athletic guys like OG and Scotty and even Pascal, these guys had to learn how to shoot and develop those shots with very hard work later as when they came into the NBA. OG was not a good shooter when he first came in the NBA. He's worked on it and became a good shooter. Pascal, same thing. And the same thing's going to be true for Scotty. So that's part of it is that when you draft 6'9" vision, these aren't good shooters. They have to be made into good shooters. And Cool Cat's showing the way, 1,000 shots a day and just as much as possible. And they're doing that. Trust me. I don't think these guys aren't doing that. It's just that I don't know what's going on with them. In some ways, that it's ridiculous how bad they shoot. It's almost comical. It's like Keystone Cops kind of shit. Click saying, see, I don't know why Jeff Doughton isn't on the main roster. He actually knows how to run the point when we need to score or when we need to move the ball. Yeah, I mean, I've seen an interview with Jeff Doughton recently, and he really understands that the point guard's thing is, and this is what Alvin was saying last night during the game, is one of the jobs of a point guard back in the day for the NBA was to make sure everybody's involved. And Alvin touched on this during the game last night, that when he was a point guard in the NBA, one of his duties was if he saw one of his teammates was struggling, it's on him as the point guard to help them get better and get engaged and help to contribute offensively. The point guard is specifically supposed to be a helping hand in setting them up for easy scores so they can get going. Well, you don't have anybody doing that. Fred just doesn't do that as a point guard. I wish he did. I wish he was more like that kind of point guard, that he could set up guys and get them going. Like if he sees Scotty struggling like he did yesterday, why can't you set up Scott with some easier shots somehow, some way, Fred, in your point guard mentality? Like you say, oh, you heard you're a shooting guard, Drake's song. Yeah, maybe you're supposed to be a shooting guard this year, but everything went to shit. And now we have to go back to plan B and back to what we do well. And we need you to be a point guard again. And that means getting assists. That means looking for guys. That means helping guys who are struggling on the team get baskets. That's the point guard's duty. And in some ways, us not having a definitive point guard is hurting us in this way. And Click is exactly right. That Jeff Dowden Jr. may be a really prototypical plays like a point guard, is a point guard kind of guy that can do this for us. Like if he can, I want to see one of our guys start getting double-digit assists. I want to see somebody regularly trying to do this. There should be one dude on our team that is always trying to get double digits on assists. There's nobody doing that on our team right now. Scotty, it's from time to time, he will look like he's trying to pass it and share it and get everybody, but he never consistently gets assist numbers game to game. Now, Pascal could maybe do this a little bit in the point forward scheme I was talking about yesterday as him as playing like Scottie Pippen. But Fred really should be that guy. He has the most experience doing it. He's the prototypical guy that should be doing it. But why isn't he doing it? Why can't he figure out how to set guys up in ways so that they can score easily and get out of like the mud with their own individual offensive games? You know, you see Scotty playing so bad last night. One of the other Raptors needed to set him up and get him going in some sort of way. Just like how they set up Koloko for his one shot yesterday. So I like Jeff Doughton on the main roster. And I think that if things just get worse and worse, we may see this, that he may come up because they just have to try anything. Blackhawk saying Fred VanVleet has to work on his floaters and teardrops as well as pick and roll pop. For your information, we still have our FRP. So either way we win. FRP. What does that mean? FRP, first round player, first round pick. You're saying first round pick for next year? Yeah, that's good. I mean, we may trade it this season. I don't know, but at least if we have it still right now. I think Fred's been shooting better recently, a little bit better. He was so bad like a week or so ago when he got like 1 point, he got thrown out of a game. He got 10 points in another game. Just he's been shooting so bad. He's starting to get better. It's ramping up a little bit in the last couple games, but it's not totally there yet. It's not where he's happy with it at all, for sure. But it's starting to show signs of life. At least let's just put it that way. His shot looks so bad like 10 days ago. It's showing signs of life. Last night he was short on a lot of his shots, which is weird to me. Like normally he's like it's either to the left or the right a little bit and rims out, but he was actually shooting short last night. He was dead on. It's just it wasn't making it all the way to the rim. It was really weird. I don't see him miss that much usually, like short. It's not usually short how Fred misses. Cool Cat saying, I would love Fred VanVleet to go back to shooting guard and have Pascal and Scotty be the point guard. I just want somebody that maybe this is part of the ambiguity problem. I just want somebody to take that role and say, this is my role. I'm going to be the point guard. I'm going to get assists. I'm going to set up my teammates and make them have easier scoring time. If somebody's struggling, I'm going to look for them and really try and get them going. You know, they need to have that old John Stockton, Muggsy Bogues, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson mentality. A classic point guard mentality, a Steve Nash kind of mentality. Nobody's got that right now on our team. And they don't even have to score. They could just dedicate themselves completely to just setting guys up. I'd love that. Like, why can't we do this? Y'all were going over roles on Saturday morning, Nick. Go and say, you're my point guard now, and I want you to just pass. I don't even care if you shoot. I just want you to work on your assist number for this whole entire game and get as many assists as possible and see what happens. You know, because some guys you tell, I just want you to go get rebounds. Well, tell somebody they just need to go get assists. Let's see. Blackhawk is saying, Khem playing 15 minutes, exactly what I pointed out to you, Alexi, 2 days ago. That's his max to keep him serviceable. The question now was Koloko studying Khem. What is the strategy when Khem is off? You know, he played 18 minutes. And I'm going to tell you right now, Blackhawk, you were right that maybe he's limited because of his knees, but he looks healthy. I don't think he's that hurt. And I think that they were just not playing him because they're being stupid, because he should play a lot more. He played 18 minutes last night and he was fine. He didn't look that gassed or he didn't have a drop in his play. He played very consistently the whole time he was out there. Now, as far as your second part, Koloko was definitely studying him. I saw him doing it. And when Khem came out of the game and they're both on the bench, there was very much a lot of talking between the two of them and pointing and looking at things on the court. So there's definitely a lot of Koloko's really smart and he wants to learn quick and he wants to learn fast. And maybe some of the best learning isn't doing, it's watching and seeing and getting it explained to him a bit first before he goes out there and he tries to apply it himself. And we were both right about Khem. Khem is awesome and he needs to be played. And I don't think there is a minutes restriction. I think that you were actually wrong about that he's only played for 4 minutes because he can't handle it. Well, he could handle it last night. And like I said earlier, he was moving around on cuts to the basket very quickly and also rotating very fast and quick back towards the basket. When he get drawn out by the other team's offense, he would rotate right back and he'd be sealing out Mo Wagner from a dunk next to the basket. Nobody scored on our basket easy when Khem was on the court last night. And that's what I'm looking at. Nobody scored easy. Nobody came up to the basket and made a lay-in. Nobody made anything real close, real easy. He was there agitating every single thing that came near the basket when he was in there. So the strategy when Khem is off, play Thad. Monique saying, can I just take a moment to applaud you, Randy, and I for pushing through the live streams these times? Look at it this way. The early days in the franchise, always supporting our guys regardless. Well, I'm committed to doing this, and I don't care. Like somebody said earlier, PM, I just love this team, and I love watching them win or lose. I'd love for them to win. Obviously, I want them to win championships. I want them to win Larry O'Brien's. But, you know, I just feel grateful that I get to watch the Raptors also at the same time. Now, Randy's getting paid for what he's doing. I'm not. So, you know what? Who's more dedicated? That. Yeah, and Randy's not going every day either. He goes like maybe 3 or 4 days a week. I'm going 7 days a week. And he's doing like a half hour. I'm doing 3 hours. Maybe I'm just stupid. But no, it's passion. It's totally passion. And Nameless is clapping. Nameless is clapping. I like it. Blackhawk saying T. Ross sold that flop on Pascal, Magic was on that mindset to get it. MF tried it on Boucher and got caught. Yeah, that was totally Terrence Ross that got Pascal out of the game, and it was a very savvy vet play by Terrence. He flopped. It was like ambiguous. Pascal kind of fucked up though. He can't be doing that handed push. Push with one hand, Pascal, is fine. But when you do two hands and then Terrence Ross flops, Ben Taylor has to call it. It's just part of the book. But it was really like a perfect storm of Pascal making a slight mistake by putting two hands on him, Ross flopping, and then Ben Taylor having to be a hard ass ref. As we challenged it, and we still lost that challenge, and we lost the challenge and a timeout also. So it was just bad on top of bad. And you can give a lot of credit to Terrence Ross. He didn't score a lot in the game yesterday, but that was a key play for the Magic to win by taking Siakam out with his fourth foul in the first half. It's crazy. Click saying, I see fans saying we should blow it up. There may be a lot of people saying that right now, but let's not listen to them. I say that we don't blow it up completely, but maybe we blow up a small section of it. That may be necessary. Oh, let me just have a drink real quick. We need a Lowry or Oakley edge type of guy. Yeah. We talked about this, and it could be different roles, different guys on the team that step up and do this. I think Scotty might have it in him a bit. Chris is starting to show it. Monique's saying, I'm just officially glad Champagne has stopped the "you are my son" thing for sure. It's just a distraction, and it doesn't help him. It just doesn't help him. It really doesn't. And I'm glad he stopped doing that too. He may be doing it still behind the scenes, but that's where it belongs. It's special. It's private for you and your guys to have fun. Do it, but not on blast and interviews after the game. I don't even know who did they give the interview to in 905. I think they just turned it off. Oh, and the stream I watched, it was the Celtics stream, and they're not going to hang around and see an interview by one of our guys when they lost by 1 point. Name was saying not making the playoffs will allow this team to seriously reevaluate the situation that you may not have had the opportunity to otherwise do, and could be a blessing in disguise. I like to game every scenario and thing that could happen to us as a no-lose scenario, that we can just win no matter what. Like Tampa season, we made that a win no matter what. It's a very similar kind of mindset to that. We won in Tampa because we didn't destroy our franchise in the relocation, and we also got Scotty, as Masai put it. So, whatever things that happen to us, we got to game it to the best situation for the future for us. And that's the smartness of Masai and Bobby Webster, is that, no matter what happens, we're going to have a contingency plan. We have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, all the way down to Z. And those plans will get put into according to what's happening with the team at different times. And I have total faith in them. We just have a winning culture, a winning kind of mindset, a winning franchise, a quality franchise. And it's just inevitable it's going to happen. But maybe we have to have bumps in the road, uncertain times like now, and to make it all well-rounded and balance out the really good times that we are going to get down the road. It's like we're paying bad stuff forward right now to get the really good stuff later. Cool Cat's saying the root of our problem is that we don't know who we are because we have not seen our core and rotational players in action as of yet. Injuries are killing us big time. They definitely haven't helped. But once again, I don't want to use this as an excuse, because last year we very much were missing one or two key guys all the time, and we did not miss a beat. And in reality, right now, our injury situation since Pascal has come back has actually been pretty good. When Pascal was out, we had so many guys out. Yeah, we had good excuses for why we're losing. But at this point, we've had enough guys back all at once that there is no excuse for the way we're losing right now. We have to have next man up mentality, and one or two guys down, Precious and Otto and Wancho, is not enough to make an excuse. Now, OG was another one last night, and in some ways that did add to it. But that definitely hurts our ability to get a good system going and understanding our rotation and roles correctly, because the roles are kind of having to go and do other people's roles in their absence. And there's been a lot of that. And that's definitely what's happening. What you're describing, Cool Cat, is that we have not seen our core rotational players correctly in the system because they're not just there. But as far as not winning, we should still be trying to win, even if we're missing guys. Okay, Mike did make it. Salute, real ones. Project Truther, always good to see you, Logical Raptors Fanatic. Check out Mike's YouTube channel, Logical Raptors Fanatic. Country Kong's here. Hopefully we lose and tank for Wemby. No, that's too crazy. We're not going to tank for Wemby. If we lose so much that we're actually in the Wemby sweepstakes, so be it. But I don't want that to happen. That's not what we're trying to do. We're never about that. We're not the 76ers. We don't want to be that kind of team. We want to win. We have Masai Ujiri in charge, and he is all about winning. He ain't about this. Summer Lowe saying, very frustrating to watch these past few games. Really losing faith in so many of the players on the team. Apparently, Michael Grange has some information to share on the Raptors show later today. Well, that's interesting. Who knows what he's going to say? He may be saying something fucked up, but who knows? We'll have to see. I know that there's injuries on our team that they're not talking about enough. Whether we just found out that OG's had a hurt hand on his shooting hand for the last couple weeks. Well, that makes sense for why his three-point shooting has not been as good in the recent couple weeks as at the beginning of the season. And there's other little lingering things that they're not telling us about they're going through that probably is very much adding to part of the problems that they're having right now. But it is very frustrating. But let's not lose faith. Let's keep different perspectives of short term and long term in perspective. We can have a short-term perspective that's very disappointed and maybe not feeling very positive about what's going to happen. But the long-term perspective should always be positive because we are on our way in the right direction as a franchise overall. I really do believe that. Now we'll have to see what Grange has to say. Hopefully it's not any kind of stupid. Mike's saying the things are darkest before the dawn. It's always darkest before the dawn. Do, 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 do. That's not a song on the radio. That's a song I actually wrote. I wrote a song a long time ago on a keyboard. It was called Darkest Before the Dawn. And it was like, it's always darkest before the dawn. And then the keyboard goes, do, 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 do. Yeah, that's my old hit. It's not a hit. I sang it a couple times in a band, but that's all. Mike bringing up my old song. Okay, Blackhawk say, whoa, Logical Raptor Streak is up after being up late. Big talk last night. Oh, I'm not sure if Mike maybe, he has to deal with losses a certain way, maybe a little, but, he's also very much fighting the good fight in chat spaces against like haters and people that are not Project Truth or not real ones. And that's part of what's going on there is Mike's probably up late in the comment sections of Raptor spaces telling people to stop saying tank for Wemby. That's probably what it is. Savage is here. Okay, let's see if Savage is going to go nice to us. Half of his points came from the free throw line, 4 of 11, 36%. That was very much on purpose, Savage, what Fred did. That he needed to, make some points. He manufactured them the hard way with his body and getting hit and bashed around and stuff. That's not something he wants to do every night. But that is a trick that guards will use and players will use in to get points and manufacture them no matter what, is draw fouls and get to the line. I have no problem with that. He wants to get half his points on the line. That's great. He's paying it with his body. And some people may be mad about that, but he's at least producing. He did get 20 points. And sure, like I said earlier, he said in the interview he blames himself first and that he could have shot better. So he's taking an accountability and he is trying and he's going to get it right. Like I said, he's ramping it back up to get it right. He's going to get it right in the next couple games. Watch. And we're going to see the old Fred again. We saw him for just a brief second in one game recently, and he was fantastic. And he's had a lot of struggles since. But I really think that this is going to happen. He's showing a trend. This going in the right direction right now with this shooting. So give him a little chance, Savage. We'll see where he's at in maybe like 2 or 3 games. If Fred's still struggling then I say fully endorse benching him and trying somebody else. Mike's saying facts. Fred VanVleet's plan B, cover for their youth at times to continue winning and balance working toward the best version of his team. Fred is shooting guard ultimately and has shown his game for time, no doubt. I want him to revert back to being a point guard for just right now. I don't think Scotty's ready to do the point guard stuff, and there's no point guard for our team right now. And that's a huge part of the reason why our offense is not working well right now. I really think that we need a real designated point guard that is trying to get assists. It's very much something that I was just talking about like 10 minutes ago. And I'll reiterate it right now. Callie's saying I have no words. Used them all last night. I'll bet there was a lot of money in the swear jar after the game too, Callie. Yeah, it's not even like a stress meter. It's just a disappointment meter is going on for Callie right now. It's like I don't want to keep asking her, what is your disappointment meter from last night? I want to see like good stuff happen. I'm with you, Callie. I was very upset too last night, but also I did see some shining stuff that's good. Lion Hunters standing right beside Lion Hunter. Get that tanking garbage out of here, Savage, and whoever's saying tank for Wemby. Who was that was saying tank for Wemby? It's Country Kong. Yeah, Country Kong will sometimes come in here and say something like that. Country Kong saying getting swept by a team that was 6-20. Well, once again, the NBA is like ships passing in the night. You're going to go on your voyage and you're going to hit different ships at different points in their voyage. And Orlando's in a good stride, and we're just having bad luck hitting teams, really when they're figuring things out. All kinds of different teams have been figuring things out, like Philadelphia early in the season, Brooklyn, Orlando now. We really helped New Orleans and Oklahoma City with those big blowout wins as far as them figuring things out. We're like helping teams figuring things out. Meanwhile, nobody's trying to help us figure anything out. That's for sure. The Lakers kind of did, but then again, it was without LeBron and Anthony Davis. Yeah. We're not swept though. They said they were swept by them. That's bullshit too. We got beat 2 games in a row at their home court, but we beat them last Saturday. So this is not a sweep. When Matt Devlin kept saying we got swept by Magic last night, it kept pissing me off because I was like, the series is 1-2. It's not a sweep. So saying that we got swept by the Magic is inaccurate. Let's see. Monique is saying, news and notes. Congratulations, Norman Powell, on the new court in San Diego and renamed after him. So proud of you. A championship at heart, et cetera, and hardworking man. I want to say this about Norman Powell at his high school, where he went to high school in San Diego. They renamed the court at their high school, the Norman Powell Court, and they put his logo, Understand the Grind, on the court. Fantastic achievement. And I just love that Raptor champions, even though they're gone and we have not had them on our team or in our family for a bit, are still really excelling and having great and fantastic things happen for them. You go, Norman. And I really love that court. It's so cool to see. And what an honor. Seriously, that's a big deal. But it makes sense. He's an NBA champion. And there's not a whole lot of people in this world that were ever born that can say that in the percentage of humanity in time. So no wonder he has a court named after him in San Diego at his old high school alma mater. Space Cadets here every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll talk Raptors, even if it's after a bad loss. Miami lost to the Spurs at home. I guess Miami should tank. See, this is a logic that is very sound and smart. Space Cadet, thank you for your logic here, because this shows how stupid other things are. Now, in some ways, maybe Miami should tank. No, they shouldn't. Nobody should tank. Nobody should tank. Wemby is such a bad thing for the league in some ways this year because he really is enticing people to sin. And do things. It's like he's like a ooh curvy girl, and he's like, oh, you can come and see me, and like people are like, maybe we should go see Wemby, But no, tanking is a sin in the NBA, and it should be. And I like Space Cadet's comment, and I think that they're being very smart when they say this. It's a dumb strategy to tank. Blackhawk saying Nick Nurse should do this Khem Birch strategy on Malachi or Delano for development. Delano was not given enough time, which is a shame because Delano had energy. He had good energy. He was playing fairly well on defense, but for some reason, Nick just doesn't trust him. And he does have a couple of problems on defense where he has lapses that hurt us. But I still feel like he should be playing. Like if you're going to try and develop Scotty and Koloko so heavy, why aren't you doing this with Delano and Malachi also? So I agree with this. Mike saying, yeah, sorry, Lex. Went on a Pensera channel looking for a debate. Van Hoot came on too, and we chatted late, woke up. It's all right, man. I don't care. It's not like you have to show up and be here at 9:30 all the time like I do. But that's fine. And you're a late night guy. I'm very much not like going to be up too late, and I'm going to get up in the morning. So don't worry about it at all. And you're fighting the good fight. I support that. That's all that matters. Summer's saying, I also worry about this long term you are talking about. Gary coming off the books, and Fred and Scotty need to be re-upped. Yeah. I mean, that's what they got to figure out, the puzzle pieces by the end of the year. And that Gary may be just really smart to trade mid-season. But part of the problem I have with trading Gary is he's part of the only one person on our team that's capable offensively in some ways Then if we trade him, who the fucker is going to make shots? It's like a real risk in some ways not to retain Gary because we are having such a hard time on our offense. And he's one of the only people that has any kind of offensive game that even if it's not consistent all the time, we know he can make his own shot, make a shot for himself on the court at any given time. And that it's a real risk trading him, even though it may be the smart general manager thing to do. Maybe this is part of how we tank is we trade the one good offensive player that we have, this consistent jump shooter, and we get really even worse. Nameless saying, I seriously think I'm prepared to kill for Wemby. Amazo Morto. No, see, seriously, no, come on. We can't let this trap. It's a mirage. It's like a Cersei. It's the sirens. They're calling us, but they're death. We don't want that to be called to the sirens like other teams that are sailing out there right now. They are hearing the sirens and they're like, "Ooh, we want to go towards Wemby. Let's tank. Let's tank." No. We don't want to do that. There's only one team will be successful, and if you're already half-assed, already kind of like been winning already, and you're not totally losing all out, you're not going to get him, and you will just have a bad record and not Wemby. And you don't want to get stuck in that position. That's why trying to win out is always the most important thing. Cool Cat saying not knowing who we are due to injuries affect rotations, chemistry, who to release, keep picture for big chip planning. Whoa, OG's hand injured too. Build around wings, Pascal, OG, Scotty, then Fred, and shooting guard. Yeah, totally. We've totally been stymied in figuring out our identity this season because of injuries, and we'd be further along. Other teams like Boston's figuring out their identity. New Orleans is figuring out their identity. Even my Magic last night, they kind of figured out some more of their identity in some ways playing us recently. So yeah, we've got long-term and short-term goals. Our short-term goals are just to get going in a winning way again, but our long-term goals are still to win a championship and build towards that. Blackhawks saying Pascal drawing a foul through an Embiid sweep through was so touching. Pascal's growing up. Power dunks, 2 games in a road. His bag is growing. Yeah, I saw that play when Kevon Harris put his hand on his back and he brought it up like that. That's totally that Embiid move. And that was really smart because it got him to the line. There's different stuff we're learning and growing at, but there's certain things we're still dropping through the cracks and not taking care of responsibilities that are super important. And some of that is game management and taking over, and some of that is just offensively stepping up at any point in the game. Paul B saying we are playing incomplete. Let's not totally panic, but certainly changes should be made. Hope all is well. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing we can't do. Don't chicken little. Don't jump off the ship. Stay with them. Keep watching games and believe because the good stuff is going to come. And a lot of people will turn it off because of the bad stuff right now. And they'll miss out on the good stuff when it finally happens. And then they'll come back and they'll be like, oh, why did I turn it on? They're losing again because it is a little bit up and down. But you got to stick with them the whole time so you get the rewards of seeing the good game when it finally happens again. Paul B, put that Chris Boucher dunk on Mo Bamba on the dunk list for this year. He really took it to him and put it on his head. All right, Monique's got one more comment here, and it's the most important one for today. Stop the tanking nonsense. And I totally agree with Monique. All right, I'm just almost at 2.5 hours. Probably way too long to talk about this shit from last night. Missing our heavies and Precious, Birch 75% and OG out now. It's clear we're not healthy at the moment. I thought Birch looked healthy last night. He looked fantastic. He was moving great. And I think that Nick needs to play him 20 minutes a game. He just needs to. Cool Cat saying Fred VanVleet said he's going through a lot all around. I wonder if he's concerned about his contract. Nope, I don't think it's that. I think that it's all right. He was sick last month, and it really hurt him physically. He tried to play when he was sick still, and he's just hasn't looked his normal self. I think he's still trying to come back from that. You add into the sickness and not having energy because he's so sick that he has a new wrinkle in his jump shot that's fucking up his jump shot all of a sudden. So he's trying to work through that also. Then on top of that, you got fans coming at him. And then like also there's been a lot of like speculation about his social media and all that mess. And there may be some private thing that's going on in his life that's annoying. It could be something that like him and his brother Darnell and their marijuana company is having problems. It could be that he's planning his wedding with his fiance. and that in some ways that's not going smooth, or maybe there's some conflict and issues with that. It could be a whole lot of things that I could speculate about. But I will say this, that I know for sure it has nothing to do with his relationship with his fiance going bad right now. It has nothing to do with his teammates and him not getting along. It all has to do with him physically, how he feels. And then also, there may be just annoying stuff going on as far as like, okay, in some ways, they're calling it a perfect storm of bad things happening. Whether it's Pascal's injury, a way it timed with things, Precious's injury, Fred's illness, the fact that Gary went in a shooting slump at a really bad time, with it all coincided all at the same time. It's like a perfect storm of bad shit. And that's really what's happening. We're weathering it. And in a way, we're still a 500 team. That's actually kind of impressive in a way. So, but I don't think it's the contract stuff. It really isn't that thing. He doesn't like thinking about that shit. He doesn't put it in his head at all. And it really is, he takes it, he won't think about it usually till the off season. It's like he really turns his head off from it and doesn't make it a thing in his head at all, the contract stuff. And the same thing with Gary. They're professionals. They know that this stuff is going to be coming up, but they don't make it. They know that if they do everything right on the court, it'll all work out itself as far as what their extension or their offer will be for contracts coming up. So, Country Kong saying Miami losing to the Spurs should, at the very least, indicate to the Miami Heat fans an organization that there, at the very least, exists a possibility of fundamental flaw with their approach. Well, I can tell you what's wrong with Miami. They have no bigs, and they're old, and they've got a lot of holes in their franchise build. Like their roster's not built right at this point. It's just like not built right. It's got so many fundamental problems. It's not going to win. They're exactly where they're going to be all year. I don't see Miami going up and being in the top of the Eastern Conference like in years past. They're right at the bottom of the play-in, just below us, and they're probably going to be like right there or even out of the playoffs at the end of the year. Miami's not that good. They just aren't this year. And it's not that they're tanking or anything. It's just that they're a veteran team that was good last year, but they've had a drop off. I mean, part of it is losing PJ Tucker. Part of it's losing the Morris brother. They lost their two power forwards. Now they have no beef up front, and they're getting beat. And honestly, San Antonio is a good team too. Like they're very much like the Magic. They have some good young players, and they're plucky, and they have a good coach. So it's like, that's why I can't say any team is bad this year. The Houston Rockets have a bunch of young studs that are very athletic and good. The Magic are very athletic and good. Oklahoma City's so good. New Orleans, every team in the bottom is good. Detroit's a good team when Cade Cunningham's back. So it's like nobody's a slouch. Every single team in this league is good at this point, and it sucks. It's going to be really hard to win going forward. Losing to Popovich and the Spurs is no slouch. That's still Greg Popovich, and he is a really good coach. Savage is saying, Mr. Bet on yourself, not thinking about contracts. He did tell Serge he wants to make All-Star again. There's not this year, Fred. Yeah, he's not going to make All-Star this year, and he shouldn't. He really shouldn't. He's not thinking about the contract. Yeah, he said this on his documentary that he put out, that one a couple of seasons ago. He really does not think about it during the year. It's really in the offseason he starts thinking about it. Chris is the same way. He said the same thing about this past season, this offseason. Chris Boucher, he didn't think about it all year, and he thought about it when he had to in the summer. It's just a distraction, and they don't want to even think about it. It's another layer of just worrying about bullshit, and they can't really totally control it to a degree. The thing they can control is how they play, and that's what they need to worry about. They're not going to worry about the contract. Paul B is saying, is it because on December 15th you can trade recently signed free agents, so Boucher is sweating the KD Claxton trade? Just kidding. No, I don't think Boucher's sweating anything. He's playing very well. In fact, he was my second star of the game for last night. His energy was really good. We miss you, Precious. All right, I really got to finish up before 2.5 hours. This is way too long for a losing streak. Y'all, tomorrow I'm going to be doing Tuesday trivia, Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia. So tune in if you want to play trivia with us at 9:30 tomorrow, and then we'll have the preview for the Sacramento game here in Toronto on Wednesday. I appreciate y'all sticking with me and with the team and showing up on a Monday morning like this and talking with me. There's a good amount of y'all. Last year at this time, when we were losing games like this, I would have 3 or 4 people in the stream with me. After a loss, very few people would stick around and want to talk about this. So this is a sign also, in a way, that we have over 20 to 30 people in here today through this whole stream talking about this loss. That says something. So keep sticking to it. Don't fall for this tanking stuff. We do not want to take that sin and try to tank or do anything like that. We need to just stay the course. We're going to figure it out. It's just the rough road gets to greener pastures. And we got to go the hard way. Instead of going the easy way, we're going the hard way. And when you go the hard way, it all pays off in the long run. Trust me. So enjoy your Monday. Let's get this week off to a good start. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like my channel. And let's go Raptors.